So you have to tell Kamala Harris that you've had enough, that you just can't take it anymore. We can't stand you. You're a vice president. The worst. You're the worst vice president. Kamala, you're fired. Get the hell out of here. You're fired. Get out of here.
Harris, Eva, is now responding to the latest insult that Trump hurled against her last night.
Just before she left Georgia, she sat for an interview with Reverend Al Sharpton. And in that interview, she accused the former president of demeaning the office of the presidency and essentially arguing that he lacks the basic temperament involved for the job.
What you see in my opponent, a former president of the United States, really is, it demeans the office. And I have said, and I'm very clear about this, Donald Trump should never again stand behind the seal of the President of the United States. He has not earned the right. He has not earned the right. And that's why he's going to lose.
Joining us with more on this, Larry Sabato, the director of the Center for Politics at the University of Virginia and editor of the book, A Return to Normalcy, the 2020 election that almost broke America. Larry, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Jessica.
Let's start with former President Trump. His campaign says this is their closing message, that they are wrapping their arms around it. This is what they are going to close out the campaign with. And we saw the former president yesterday talking about some of the familiar themes we've heard, but then going on these meandering stories, one of which was about Arnold Palmer's naked body. Is this the closing message they want, and can it move the needle?
Well, one would hope it isn't the closing message that the staff wants, but of course they've got a candidate who frankly is around the bend and off the tracks. And this is something that, even though it's the end of the campaign, the press needs to focus on. You need to think about those 39 minutes when he pranced around the stage playing disc jockey and dancing at his own rally just a couple of days ago. The word salads that have gotten worse and more incoherent. Hey, how come this was such a critical issue for Joe Biden, who did not display these kinds of tendencies? And it isn't such a big issue for Donald Trump. He's going to be the oldest president ever sworn in, if in fact he's elected. He's going to be the oldest president in American history at the end of this next term if he gets to serve it. Why isn't that important? I think it's very important.
So I'm glad you raised that point, because I want to play a clip from this morning where our colleague Jake Tapper asked Speaker Mike Johnson for his reactions on some of those Trump remarks. So let's listen to that clip.
Is this really the closing message you want voters to hear from Donald Trump? Stories about Arnold Palmer's penis?
Well, listen, I think that the headline that I read about the rally in Pennsylvania yesterday was the big question, and it's the one that Kamala Harris has not been able or willing to answer, and that is, are you better off now than you were under the Trump administration 4 years ago?
But Larry, to your point, I think Jake mentioned this as well. Reverse the roles here. If this had been Joe Biden that did that, the Republicans would be screaming up and down that he was in cognitive decline, or how dare he say this. There just does not seem to be the same outrage on their side.
Oh, there certainly is not. Look, the Republican Party has come.
Makes me feel loved.
That joy spans genders and generations.
And that's what we're trying to translate for seniors. Some of them, are here without any family. Some of them have been forgotten by their family or disenfranchised by their family for various reasons. And so we know that when we're bringing flowers to seniors, that we're making their day and that they know that someone is thinking about them.
It's a small act of kindness they hope will leave a big impact.
Thank you so much.
Turning someone's bad day into a good day.
Our Charles Peak spoke with Danny Ayers of Green Mountain, North Carolina, who lost his son and daughter-in-law to this historic flooding. Ayers is now focused on raising his granddaughter with the love and support of family and his community.
On that Wednesday night before the flood, we had went to church, and Stephen, our son, and his wife Elena, and their 8-year-old daughter had come to church, and when we got ready to leave, little Bridget wanted to come and go home with us, and we tried to get Stephen and Elena to come, but they said they were going to go back home. And as the river came down, the water got more intense and whatever, and where they lived beside the river at Relief, it just came down all at once and took them. Stephen was found in Erwin, Tennessee, and we have done the funeral for him, and Elena is still not found. Little Bridget is 8-year-old, and she'll be staying with us, and the other grandparents we're all going to work together and make for sure that she's well taken care of. So even though we've lost a son, we have the hope of going to be with him one day, and proud of my son and proud of my whole family. It is unimaginable the way that our community and fire departments and different organizations done for us far and above that we could even imagine. It's just been overwhelming the way that people has helped and done and wanting to help, and we just thank each and everybody that's done anything for us. With all of our heart, we pray and ask God that He would bless you as you've blessed us.
It's so hard, and just looking at this area and how long it's going to take to recover. I know that we're moving an inch every day in these hard-hit areas where it's very difficult to access. But the fact that we're still moving forward, even though it's just maybe an inch or a couple of inches here, is a good thing. And thankfully, Mother Nature has provided us with a bit of a break since that storm. We really haven't seen too many huge headlines. We had the big cool down last week. That was a big story, but it's been on the dry side. We haven't had any snowfall or anything like that. It's just just kind of cold in the morning with temperatures in the 30s and low 40s, as you can see right now. This afternoon will be pleasant, though. So as you can think, generators are still running where we've got power outages, 5,214 customers without power. Everybody else has been restored, and it's really confined to those areas in the highest elevated spots that's hard to get to. So we've got nothing but sunshine today for a good chunk of Appalachia, the Smoky Mountains, all the way up to the big corridors up here into Virginia, where you could go and look at some beautiful changing foliage, which is happening right now. We'll be back down in the 30s and 40s overnight tonight, and once again back up into the 70s and maybe a low 80 here as we head into tomorrow afternoon. So no real big changes other than this little bit of a warm up before the cold front comes through, and so maybe a couple more 80s on the docket as we head into Wednesday, but we will get breezy yet again as that next cold front will come through at the back half of the week. Jim?
But remaining bone dry. Bone dry. All right, guys, let's get you out the door in the Northeast. Our two cities that we're highlighting for you, New York City and Baltimore. Of course, tough night for the Mets last night as they fell to the Dodgers. So it will be a Yankees-Dodgers World Series. And what a good one it will be, especially if this weather cooperates. I mean, LA's kind of a given, right? Can we get the warmer weather in New York for the games that'll be featured after this weekend? Remember, Yankees are the visiting team in this case. Either way, today we're talking 80s. Tomorrow, another warm day. Enjoy. It's beautiful. Beautiful.
Trick or treat! Kit Kat! Reese's!
Oh, great costume. Looks like you deserve both.
See ya, boys.
Everywhere but the seat. The seat is leather.
Alan, we get it. You love your bike. We do too.
That's why we're America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
But do you have to wedge it into everything?
What? I don't do that. This reminds me of my bike. The Wolf was about the size of my new motorcycle. Have you seen it, by the way? Happy birthday, Grandma!
Really?
Look how the brushstrokes follow the line of the gas tank. Hey! Brought my +1. Jamie.
I have a structured settlement and I... Call J.G. Wentworth, 877 cash now.
I have an annuity, but I need cash now.
Call J.G. Wentworth, 877 cash now.
It's your money. Use it when you need it.
Call J.G. Wentworth, 877.
Call 877 cash now to get a $100 gift card for a free quote.
Now that I'm out of debt, I feel great. I feel free. I feel powerful. I feel I can take on the world. I knew I wasn't going to be able to get out of debt myself. That's when I found National Debt Relief.
Whether it's credit card, medical, or personal loan debt, National Debt Relief can help you to become debt-free.
At National Debt Relief, you have someone in your corner that's fighting for you. You can get out of debt, and I'm living proof.
Call or visit nationaldebtrelief.com to get started.
I could work out, I could dance, I could do anything in this bra. Honeylove bras are the most comfortable bras I've ever worn. No underwire. There is some boning on the sides, which make it super comfortable and supportive. No back fat, never. It's fun, it's beautiful, it's supportive.
Free 30-day returns. Shop now at honeylove.com.
Blue Chew? Yeah, you know Blue Chew? Yeah, it shows like chewable tablet things like...
Oh, girl, how do you know Blue Chew?
Oh, man.
Come on.
And it made you like him more, right?
Absolutely. Or you could...
Where do I get Blue Chew?
Well, you can go online and get your first month free, actually, so...
Oh, no. Guess I'm going back to the store.
I can fix that.
Fast fixes with Felix.
Tomorrow work?
Works for me.
Gotta run.
That's what you do.
Delivery at the speed you need.
Here's to getting better with age.
Cheers to beating these two every Thursday.
Help fuel today with Boost High Protein. Complete nutrition you need and the flavor you love. So here's to now. Now available.
Prescriptions, co-pays, lab tests. Even with insurance, healthcare can cost thousands every year. But not for me, because I'm enrolled in VA Healthcare. My service was then. My benefits are now. Get what you earned. Visit choose.va.gov.
With Chevy trucks, be ready for adventure. With power you can count on. Capability that doesn't compromise. A hard-working EV with more range than any competitor. And the potential to take you anywhere. It's Chevy truck season. Get 0% financing, plus make no monthly payments for 90 days on all 2024 Silverado 1500 pickups. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
At Jeff Schmidt Chevy, we have a massive selection of new, certified, and pre-owned options, all in stock at 3 convenient Chevy locations. Come find the vehicle you've been waiting for with our best value guarantee. Visit JeffSchmidtChevy.com today and discover the Jeff Schmidt advantage.
Today.
When the sun goes down, the danger level just skyrockets.
Relive the most unpredictable and jaw-dropping moments from those that experienced it.
With winds that strong, that fire was going to be basically impossible to stop.
Wild Weather Week begins tonight at 8 on the Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 44 degrees under clear skies. Today, sunny, very warm, high 78. Winds light and variable. Tonight, mainly clear, low 45. Winds light and variable. Tuesday, sunshine, very warm, high 80. Winds south at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Travis County Sheriff Mike Harrington. At this time, I am sitting on the roof of my cop car, my police truck. I am completely surrounded by water at this time. So, as you can see down here, that is the side of my truck. And there are multiple vehicles came into this not expecting that much water. And before I know it, I was swept off into this.
Flash flooding can catch anyone off guard. In this case, it was a sheriff stranded on the top of his cruiser in Roswell, New Mexico. The flooding killed at least 2 people here, and more than 300 others had to be rescued. Please remember, when you see a flooded road, especially at night and the water's moving, find another route. Just turn around, guys, because you're going to wind up in situations like this. I don't know why we still have to get this message out, but it just does not resonate for some reason. I don't know why. There's something missing in the equation here, but this is what can happen. And you saw, that was just one video. There were dozens of videos, cars floating, people sitting on top of them while they're floating. You're lucky the water wasn't more turbid. So let's go ahead and talk about what happened. And here you go. Here's the key. This upper low, which parked over Arizona versus southern Colorado. Big difference. Plus, at the same time, we had a tropical storm, Nadine, that was making its way across parts of southern Mexico. So this part of the tropical moisture kind of just rode up the Sierra Madre. You had a little Pacific tap in through here as well. And with a cutoff low, in other words, a low that's not moving, you kept training over the same area with these thunderstorms. So we wound up with tropical moisture in a cutoff low over an area that gets little rainfall this time of the year. As a matter of fact, it's usually dry in New Mexico, but it's the opposite. It's dry in Appalachia now. So here you can see these training storms. You can see the flash flood emergencies showing up in pink on 2 occasions. So first with the rainfall, where they had the flooding, and then came all the water from the mountains that kind of made its way down, and you had another flash flood emergency. So just crazy stuff. This has been the year of flash flood emergencies. We literally had a half a year's of rain in just a few hours here. A half a year's worth of rain. That's incredible. That's incredible. All right. So there are these pockets of training storms. You can almost see a pattern to it, right? And how it developed and pushed on to the north. So that's the problem, is getting that over an area that's usually very arid and dry. And again, Jordan, I don't know what we're missing in the message, but people just drive into water that's moving. I mean, here's the deal. If it's during the day and I can see the road and the water's not moving, you know, I may attempt that just because I know the road if I'm familiar with it. But when it's night, it's muddy, you know there's debris in it.
And if it's flowing water,
I just don't
going
understand.
into Western North Carolina, looking at when the water receded, the buckling of the roads and the road that was just gone.
Right, well, that's a whole other issue because that you couldn't help. It came at you.
Yes.
Versus they drove into it.
Is this, I mean, remember, we had fires in Roswell, New Mexico, remember? And they've had a lot of flash flood emergencies because of the burn scars. I don't know if this was that or just because we had just so much rain.
I think it was more that.
So much rain in a short period of time. All right, I want to show you some video here of the gray skies and the robust waves that we have as Oscar, we're talking tropics now, made a second landfall in Cuba on Sunday. Right now, the storm is battering the Caribbean island with heavy rain and life-threatening flash flooding. I'll talk about that. I know this is not an ideal situation as the island is dealing with one of the worst blackouts in years. Earlier Sunday, Oscar made landfall as a Category 1 hurricane in the Bahamas, and this thing ramped up on us really quickly, just like the pattern has been with these storms previously, where you think it's going to go to this status, and really Mother Nature's like, I've got it at this status for you. So this one really popped up fast and turned into a hurricane, and now it was on its westward progression, and now it's like, slowing down and almost not moving at all. In fact, look at this, moving west at 2 miles per hour, which means it's really not moving much at all. It's going to just sit there all day long, which is why we have that life-threatening flash flooding here in this section of Cuba. Even seen some squally weather on the west side of Haiti here as well. So we still have the tropical storm warnings in effect here on the on much of eastern Cuba with the watch up towards the Bahamas. This will eventually head up into your direction towards the shear. Finally, now we're going to see the turn, but it's going to take all day to do so. In fact, if you look at this little white line here, that shows you where the storm will be this evening or this afternoon, or in the second half of the day today, as it eventually turns north. Then by tomorrow morning, I'll be talking to you, or Jim will be talking to you, and you kind of see it moving back out over open water, and then it'll finally pick up speed and move northward as we head into your midweek time frame and get caught up with the same front that's going to cool us down here. That's going to be our blocking pattern, which keeps it away from the U.S. and will keep it out over open water. But in the meantime, we're still going to be looking at squally weather here, storminess up over, excuse me, the Bahamas. And then eventually, it'll be continuing its northeastern trend. And all that magenta color here, that just shows you the strong shear that will encompass this storm system. So that's why we're not looking at any more huge growth or anything like that, or strength. Here's a look at the end of the week. Notice where the storm goes. We'll kind of keep an eye on it as it works its way up, maybe towards Europe. Meanwhile, we'll be looking at that strong shear and that cold front coming all the way down into Florida, believe it or not, with temperatures cooling a little bit, and that sinking air suppresses storms on the outlook. So for future development.
Here's to getting better with age.
Cheers to beating these two every Thursday.
Help fuel today with Boost High Protein. Complete nutrition you need and the flavor you love. So here's to now. Now available Boost Max.
The online pet store that was breached has my payment info. And my cell provider that was just breached has my social security number from the credit check.
75% of Americans have had their social security number exposed due to recent data breaches. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points for identity theft. If there's a problem, we fix it, guaranteed.
My back got injured very bad. I was off work for about a year. I heard about Relief Factor from my wife. I took it every day, 3 times a day for 3 weeks. Look at her and I said, the pain is gone. And she said, I'm glad it helped. I said, no, you don't understand. It's gone.
You too can feel better every day with Relief Factor, a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Call or go online now for our 3-week quick start, just $19.95.
You're making everything orange.
We're showing where Consumer Cellular gets great coverage. We use the same towers as Big Wireless, so you get the same coverage.
Wow.
For unlimited talk and text with reliable coverage starting at just $20, call or visit Consumer Cellular.
What will you do when the power goes out? Power outages can be unpredictable and inconvenient, but with a Generac home standby generator, your life goes on uninterrupted, because when your Generac detects a power outage, it automatically powers up, giving your family the security and peace of mind they deserve.
We don't have to worry about whether we lose power or not. If the utility company does not come through, our Generac does.
after the hurricane happened. We just want to be prepared for anything.
8 out of 10 home generators are Generac, with thousands of satisfied customers.
The number one thing to prepare for is extended power outages. Don't make it so hard on yourself. Have a Generac home standby generator.
And owning a generator is easier than ever. Special financing and low monthly payment options are available. And if you call now, you will also receive a free 5-year warranty valued at over $500. Call or go online now to request your free quote.
They say, Lauren, what's the secret to a long, sustained relationship? It's Blue Chew. Blue Chew. Blue Chew? Blue Chew. Blue Chew. Blue Chew. Blue Chew is an online subscription-based service that sends these affordable tablets directly to your home. No one even has to know.
Dad, I got a huge barbecue wing stain. This bottle says I need a pre-treat. That stuff has way more water. A little bit of Tide goes a long way. So you can save your shirt and maybe even a little money. More money for nights at the library. Right.
For a better clean with less, it's got to be Tide.
Okay, y'all, we got 10 orders coming in.
Starting a business is never easy, but starting at 8 months pregnant, that's a different story. I couldn't slow down. We were starting a business from the ground up. People were showing up left and right, and so did our business needs. The Chase e-card made it easy. When you go for something big like this, your kids see that, and they believe they can do the same.
Earn unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase with the Chase Inc. Business Unlimited card from Chase for Business. Make more of what's yours.
Well, good morning, everybody. I know it might be looking like fall. It's so beautiful, but it sure does not feel like it. Wow, more than 200 million feeling above average temperatures today. In fact, cities along the northern tier will be pushing 80 degrees. Kelly?
But just how long will those warm temperatures last? We've got a cold front that's going to help bring things back to where they should be, back to average, plus supply gusty winds as we head into the second half of the week. Jim?
AC, heat. AC, heat. AC, I mean, that's where we're at in the season. Hey, guys, we still got a little over a month left of the hurricane season here, and systems can form quickly. As a matter of fact, while you guys were weekending, we had Nadine, which was actually supposed to be 94L, but 94L turned into Oscar. What the heck's going on through here? We'll talk about that, plus the ongoing cleanup efforts along the U.S. mainland for millions. Jordan.
Man. Confusing, just like I am on this Monday morning. Hey, welcome into America's Morning Headquarters. I'm meteorologist Jordan Steele, alongside meteorologist Kelly Cass and Jim Cantore. I hope you guys all had a great weekend. As we look ahead, it's going to be warm. Jim, some cities could be looking at record highs today.
Yeah, so this is the same air mass that gave us the record cold about this time last week. That big sprawling high pressure that we get in fall that can really dominate, you know, a good chunk of the nation. And we're just going to get on the backside of it. All right. And then Jordan's going to talk about the next cold front that comes on through. Kelly did talk about it, though, at the top of the hour. All right, so, again, you can see that little cool down through here, but not before all sorts of warming up that goes on. And even, notice what happens, even, you know, kind of in the vicinity of the cold front, we're still expanding the warmth. So Nevada gets into this. We're back up into the plain states again by Wednesday. This is not going to be the same air mass that we dealt with last week, okay? Yes, it's going to cool down considerably, but it's not going to be record cold, and it's not going to be frost for the first time for many of you, all right? So we're still dealing with the 40s and 50s, obviously modifying air mass. This air mass was 10 to 15 degrees cooler when it was at its core, when it first came down. But now it's had a few days to modify, right? The sun's worked on it. The advection's worked on it. We've gotten a little Gulf of Mexico moisture in there. And the 65s this morning in Minneapolis, which is quite warm, mind you. That's about the average for a high, is going to get to 83 by the time we get into the afternoon. 79 Boston, 79 Nash Vegas, and we're talking about records. Bangor, Maine, look, that's an old 36 record. 1920 record for Alpena at 81 degrees. Those should be easily achievable. Tomorrow, that core starts to sneak up into the Northeast and the Mid-Atlantic a little bit. So we look in through here for additional records. And then on Wednesday, we're still pretty doggone warm out there, and we just get back to normal, really. So there you can see, you know, signs of some cool change. But 84 Kansas City, 89 Oklahoma City. They'll be 90s. Lawton, Oklahoma, Wichita Falls, Texas, should be in the 90s tomorrow, all right? So Philly, there's a 1920 record for you. Looks like right now, at least the forecast tops it. Even New York City. All right, as the Yankees and the Dodgers prepare for the World Series. Now, remember, the Yankees are the visiting team, so they're going to start off in L.A. Dodgers had the better record, 25 degrees above average. Anytime you see that, that's kind of like, especially 20, 25. That's kind of record territory. You can almost count on a couple of records to come in here. Places like Chicago cooling down to average on Wednesday, then warming up. Pittsburgh getting a little bit below average. But all in all, I mean, 60's just not cold to me. Unless it's got a 40-mile-an-hour wind with it. And you're standing there and it's cloudy. That's chilly.
Does home field advantage really mean anything? Especially when you look at the momentum of the teams.
Yeah, I don't think so. These are both great teams. It's going to be a great World Series.
West Coast versus East Coast, man.
Yeah.
It's going to be cool. All right, we go to Detroit now and show you a little bit about your temps and just talk about how it's going to be up and down. I mean, you might even need the AC. Are you serious? I mean, this afternoon will be close to 80. We'll be pushing that 80-degree mark. By Thursday, sweaters back on, jackets back on, highs only topping out in the 50s, so it'll be cool through the afternoon. Mornings start off pleasant or cool, and then the afternoons, at least for a couple of days, will be warm. So if you are going to be doing anything, obviously the early bird gets the worm. All right, that'll be much better than in the afternoon. It can be a little warm out there. Here we go. Just looking at how this week progresses for us. A couple of days for you folks in Detroit. You'll feel the cool down sooner in the Great Lakes, obviously, because everything this time of year moves from west to east up here along the northern tier, and we'll be looking at some of the cool down eventually arriving to the northeast as we head into your Thursday. And before that, it could be a little warm on Wednesday for some of you across I-95, even up towards Ogunquit, Maine, where we've been showing you beautiful sunrises here. You'll be looking at, the Thursday cool down, if you want to call it that. Notice not much blue here, so it's not like we're seeing temperatures tumble well below average. We'll be sitting right about average. That just shows you how unseasonably warm we are leading up to this cool down. So how about rainfall? Not much. We could maybe see some storms today. We're watching back into the plains. Some of that energy heads east, so that means a little bit of rain and storms up towards the Arrowhead in Minnesota, through the UP, Upper Peninsula. Showers here expected. Notice timing on this as the front passes into your midweek time frame. Again, not much, not a ton of rainfall, but we could see some nonetheless. I think the bigger, talking point is going to be the wind. That's going to be pretty much on cruise control. Wind speeds 15, 20, 30 miles an hour. Those are going to be the gusts. The direction will change. So leading up to the event, it's all the breeze coming out of the south. By the time we head on Tuesday evening, the front is passing with that magenta color. So the winds now change direction coming out of the west-northwest, and that'll help cool things down, but keep things rather blustery for the state of Michigan going into your Wednesday. And then, of course, that all transfers east to Lake Erie as we head into your Wednesday evening into Thursday. We go calm into Thursday morning for you folks around the Great Lakes, so that means Thursday morning temperatures could be a little chilly for some of you. Make sure the kids have that sweater or the jacket because they will need it. Now, rainfall for the Northeast may be a little bit more widespread, or chances could be a little bit better for you because you have elevation here that kind of helps get things percolating a little bit, but it's still not going to amount to too much. Back in the plains, I mentioned the storms we're watching. That's back into, the I-80, I-40 corridor, but real quick, we'll leave you with Minneapolis outlook here. And the cool day is Wednesday for sure. Kelly, over to you.
All right, still warm, a bit muggy for folks still without power in Florida. We're still cleaning up. So city officials are asking people to be patient in St. Petersburg, Florida, following two back-to-back hurricanes. More than 120 city trucks and debris contractors were out last Friday working to clear up these piles of trash still covering streets. If you don't want to wait on the city, you can take that debris to the city's temporary debris management site, and you can do that for free. It's a lot of work, isn't it, cleaning up after these major storms, and we are still very much in recovery mode. Thank goodness the weather is cooperating. For St. Petersburg, for example, we've got the dry skies all the way into next weekend, as a matter of fact. So that's allowing some of these rivers like the Withlacoochee, still major flood stage right now, but the Cypress Creek and the Peace River are down to minor flood, which is good news. We've got 11,000 outages still in Florida statewide. Remember, it's not just the hurricane that affected us, especially on the West Coast, but you had that tornado outbreak on the east side of Florida. So we are still looking at outages and cleaning up going on in places like Fort Pierce. East side of Florida, it's that east wind. It has been persistent all weekend long, and with the king tide, that is pushing that water up to even above where we should be for high tide. So especially at those times of high tide, we still have to watch the water levels here. St. Johns River, still major flood, and that river tries to go north and then out to the Atlantic, but with that persistent east wind, it hasn't been able to come down. So along with the clouds and the east wind, there will be that chance of showers stretching along the Space Coast of Florida down towards Miami, Fort Lauderdale. Still a chance of rain tomorrow. On the Gulf side of Florida, it's a bit drier, but it's still going to be blustery in places like Tampa Bay, Sarasota, and Naples down toward the Keys. Finally, Wednesday, we start to let loose of that east wind. It's going to be more of a northerly wind. Sarasota, here's our recovery forecast. The next several days looking dry. Temperatures in the mid-80s all the way into the weekend. And for Daytona Beach, a couple of showers are possible out there today, otherwise dry leading into next weekend. Well, communities all across southeast Florida are still picking up the pieces following Hurricane Milton's violent tornado outbreak. Entire homes and businesses were completely wiped out. Mohammed's convenience store was one of those. We spoke to him as he sifted through the piles of debris in Fort Pierce.
I own the convenience store and gas station for 19 years. I just come in to board the store like around 5 o'clock. The guy neighbor, they called me like some tornado blown up my store. And then I come in here and I see all these things happen, you know. Everything is blown away. It was a big mess, everything. All this, the glasses, everything was here. And this thing I never seen in my lifetime like that. I see a lot of hurricane damage, nothing compared to this. Of course, it's upset, you know, because I survive from this business, you know. I make money from here, so if my business is gone, definitely it's sad, but what can I do, you know? It's gonna take like almost 3-4 months to get back if it's possible, you know? So there's a lot of things getting out of date. We're just putting as much as we can save, you know? No, I have insurance, but I don't have the flood coverage, so we're not gonna get nothing from them. You know, what can I do, you know? It's a natural things happen. We get accepted, you know? We can do nothing about it, you know? Talk to my landlord, but they have their insurance, you know, they're gonna get money for the building. So, you know, they say as soon as if they got money, they're gonna rebuild the building for me. So I can, as soon as they finish, you know, the building, they started running a business. That's what I'm hoping. I don't know how long it's gonna take. Whatever has happened, we have to accept it, you know? It's a natural disaster, so what I can do.
Pretty great attitude right there, all things considered, right? Let's talk about the tropics, because while you were weekending, 94L, which was supposed to be this, actually wound up being this. 95L is this, okay? And you can see, in other words, Nadine and Oscar kind of switched names there a little bit. Very small. And the global models did not pick up on this thing developing, but you saw the percentages go back up on Saturday morning, and then eventually we get a TS, and Oscar was a hurricane. Already made landfall twice on Sunday in the Turks and Caicos, and then eventually toward Guantanamo, which is where it has stuck. So you kind of see it over Great Anagua, and then down here over Guantanamo, and now it's just about 5 miles west of the tip. So it's just sitting there on shore, but it's weakened to a 45-mile-per-hour tropical storm at this time. And there you can see kind of the high resolution. These are still very heavy rains. The good news is a lot of this has just pushed to this eastern tip versus, you know, is sitting a little bit farther west. The other thing, too, is as long as this festers down here, we're going to see more heavy rains over parts of the Turks and Caicos as well. So that's where the tropical storm warnings are. Not surprising. Again, winds 45-mile-an-hour tops. It maxed out at 80, pressure about 986 millibars, so not bad. Eventually, though, it starts to lift. And as it lifts, it gets into more shear, and then it gets swallowed by the front that's coming across the United States, and it becomes a whole new low-pressure system, kind of a hybrid. So again, there's Oscar. Here's the jet stream to the north, all right, the old front, believe it or not. That's all going to wash out. But watch what happens here as Oscar gets lifted up through the Turks and Caicos. All right, here we are on Wednesday. Here comes the front, and then it just scoops the whole thing up, and then it races off across the North Atlantic. Shear remains over Florida, and then we'll see what festers down below, and I'll talk more about that here in just a second. But what's going to happen is we're going to get out of a transition, or go through a transition, I should say, of getting out of this kind of sinking air into a more rising air motion part of our global circulations. And we call this a MJO phase that favors tropical development. Now, what could possibly move into that? So we're gone. Oscar's gone. All right, we talked about that. Nadine's already a Pacific hurricane at this point, maybe Christy. But we're going to watch something work its way across northern South America and possibly into this favorable area where the gyre is by the time we get in toward Monday. So we'll see. We'll see if something comes out of that. We still got 11% of the season left, and the fact that we're getting, Jordan, that phase of the MJO, which favors rising air motion over the part of the tropics that we look for in the Caribbean, means that we're still not done. We'll see.
We'll see. Time now for our front lines. We've got a bird's eye view of destructive and deadly flooding that took place in New Mexico over the weekend. What we know right now is at least 2 people have died after that flash flood emergency unfolded on Sunday. Look at this. Cars piled on top of each other. Water still high in some spots around Roswell. In New Mexico, the National Guard there rescued nearly 300 people yesterday alone. And at one point, the county's sheriff was stranded himself on top of his police cruiser until he was rescued. We also got some wild video of waves rolling down the street in western France. Dozens of people lined the streets to watch this. A strong wave warning was in place on Friday as the gush of water poured down the street in the city of St. Malo. St. Malo is a port city that sits on the English Channel and on the right bank of the Rance River. Western France was still on high alert for strong waves on Sunday as well. A very dry and windy condition is fueling very large wildfires across Nebraska last Thursday. You know, fire crews trying to contain this massive blaze as tractors rushed to get out of the way of the growing flames. The ground was so dry, officials were asking people not to burn anything and not to park hot machinery on the tall grass. One fire threatened a power plant in Gage County, forcing around 100 workers to evacuate before it was contained. Kelly?
Wow. All right, let's talk about what's ahead here on America's morning headquarters. Coastal flooding still a concern as king tides push ashore along the East Coast. Coming up, where we could see some rough surf and where those flood alerts are already popping up today. We could see records popping up today as we get you out the door in the Midwest. Detroit, your average high is 60. Look at where you are already, 52 degrees this morning. Your record to beat is 81 degrees today, and we're going to get within, a few degrees of that. You'll notice that we also have the warmer temperatures down towards Kansas City on the plaza, 81 degrees for you. Showers and storms, though, across Nebraska and the heart of Kansas.
Here's to getting better with age.
Cheers to beating these two every Thursday.
Help fuel today with Boost High Protein. Complete nutrition you need and the flavor you love. So here's to now. Now available Boost Max.
I knew it. I thought something is different about my man.
It's Blue Chew.
Blue Chew.
Blue Chew?
Blue Chew.
Blue Chew. Blue Chew.
Blue Chew. Blue Chew. You've done it again.
We need a small business loan fast.
I got this. Loan Falcon! There's a better way to get a fast small business loan. Go to OnDeck.com, and if approved, get your funds as soon as the same day. Your loan is on deck.
I finally got the Viral Bra from Honeylove.
It is crazy that you can get this much support from a bra that has absolutely zero underwire. It's totally invisible, even under the tightest tops.
I finally found an underwire-free bra that's actually comfortable. No back fat, no spillage, and doesn't cut into me.
It doesn't stretch, doesn't sag. The quality is phenomenal.
Honeylove has a 30-day money-back guarantee.
Try the crossover bra today at honeylove.com.
Eli, looks like we're running low on slider rolls.
Don't worry. I invited my team, too.
Your team?
Looks like Eli saved Slider Sunday.
Again.
King's Hawaiian Slider Sunday.
The only way to Sunday.
Camille, Ivan, Katrina, Sally, Zeta. Seen a lot of storms. You have all this beauty and tranquility, and the storms come in and they change everything.
You guys are doing a great job. I really appreciate everything that y'all are doing.
When it shows up on your doorstep, our role is to respond quickly, to provide a way forward. A recovery is day by day. We want to be the calm after the storm.
HCM is a serious heart condition affecting as many as 1 in 200 people, like me.
And me. I was still short of breath on my beta blocker.
So I talked to my cardiologist.
And asked about treatment advances in HCM.
That talk made a real difference.
It gave me new hope.
Talk to your cardiologist today. Visit hcmrealtalk.com to learn more.
When it comes to your truck, you can power it up 6 ways to Sunday. But if you want to get things done, start with the capability of Ford F-150. Gas, power boost hybrid, or all electric. The power is yours.
The Weather Channel TV app is keeping you ahead of the storm all hurricane season. Our goal is to keep people safe. Start your free trial and be prepared all season.
One was a great year. Prices were low, technology was king, and Columbus Door Sales opened, providing reliable service and the latest technology in the industry. Nearly 60 years later, Columbus Door Sales continues to offer our customers fast, friendly service, and still using the latest technology to help you pick out the perfect garage door. Integrity, value, experience. That's Columbus Door Sales.
For years, I just dreaded going to the dentist. But at Advanced Dentistry, I don't have to. First and foremost, they want you to feel comfortable when you walk in. Like, you'll feel it. Whereas in the past, I might have gone into the dentist and thinking, I might feel some pain at some point. But with IV sedation, it can be something that you don't dread.
If you've been avoiding the dentist because of fear, worry, or just not wanting to be judged, you're not alone. Visit NoFearDentist.com to learn how IV sedation can change your life.
Currently in our area, 44 degrees under sunny skies. Today, sunny, very warm. High 78. Winds south-southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, generally clear. Low 45. Winds light and variable. Tuesday, sunshine, very warm. High 80. Winds south at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
When the sun goes down, the danger level just skyrockets.
Witness the most awe-inspiring weather from around the world.
I hear this sound that's like a freight train.
Relive the most unpredictable and jaw-dropping moments from those that experienced it.
There it is. Go inside.
With winds that strong, that fire was going to be basically impossible to stop.
Wild Weather Week begins tonight at 8 on the Weather Channel.
He did the Monster Mash.
All right, check it out. These are adorable, maybe even petrifying pups in some cases. Check out the costumes from New York's annual Halloween Dog Parade. From the big dogs to the teeny-weeny Halloweener dogs. The furry friends showed out for the celebration on Saturday with decent weather as well. There's Dorothy and Toto. There's Scooby-Doo. I mean, these are great costumes. I'm not sure the dogs really like wearing the costumes, but what do they know, right?
Yeah.
The owners were having a blast. I mean, these are really, really good, creative costumes.
Super clever. The hot dog there you got a little hot dog. I love the hot dog stand in one of them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you'll see that in a second.
Scooby-Doo. I had a pizza.
Pizza slice.
I had a little pumpkin for mine that I'd put on. And my dog would always be like, what are you doing?
There's the hot dog stand.
There it is.
Very good.
I love how everyone goes all out, too, right? Weather's been beautiful. I hope you guys are all enjoying the fall festivities out there, whether it's a fair, whether you're going to a parade. I just know that there's so many fun things to do. Pumpkin patches, all that fun stuff. Let's travel for those that are either doing business travel today or maybe you get a nice little holiday in. We'll bring in the Big Steel Bird eventually and kind of talk a little bit about the potential delays today. The only delays that we're worried about is around the Pacific Northwest and ultimately around the plains. planes for today. There it comes. Gosh, that was delayed. Take forever. Hopefully your travel won't be like that. Hopefully the plane will show up on time. So there's your Pacific Northwest system. Obviously some energy coming out of Denver. They had a ground delay yesterday because of some fog. That storm is now pushing to the east, but we're all green, which means we are taking off and landing on time. No weather-related delays at all. Here's a look at the overall potential spots. Ignore the top spot. Atlanta, you're good to go. But Minneapolis, not really, but we'll watch the wind there. Really looking at some storminess down around Miami, but again, those other spots I highlighted. So now we go to the ground. I think road travel could be the biggest hiccup, obviously depending on where you are. If you're around the plains, this is going to be the focal point for today. We're seeing ongoing storms this morning, and a lot of that's going to be potentially intensifying to a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings this afternoon from I-40 all the way up to I-80. So checking in right on the border of the Red River Valley here between Texas and the panhandle of Oklahoma, west of I-35, and then eventually all those storms will head east late tonight, maybe arriving into Kansas City through the overnight hours. And I'll show you that. Obviously, you've got some storms this morning, as mentioned, in Kansas. Watch what happens south of that as the line kind of begins to develop some of these storms. So Woodward, you could see it by midday. Hayes, Dodge City, you'll be in it through late morning. And then that'll push east towards Wichita, which are in one of the areas where I think we could see storms get a little bit more aggressive. Notice the back building of the storms that get aggressive around the evening commute. So those will be the ones that we watch. And obviously ones up towards Grand Island as well. Could be looking at maybe some powerful storms out of that as it pushes east, and then ultimately giving us a couple showers around KC into tomorrow morning. Jim?
All right, let's get into what's going on with this east wind here in Florida here. Look at this kiteboard, just loving life. Some large waves at Dania Beach in Florida here during the king tides. This was Saturday. It's actually the wind over the water that creates the waves. The tide just makes the whole body of water come up, as you guys are knowing, because on the beaches we have these coastal flood warnings. We're seeing gusts up to 30 miles per hour at times. All right, today will be more the same, the flood threat and the waves. And if you're out on the roads, watch out for some street flooding. All right, so Kate and I were looking at some cameras this morning on the Florida coast, and what I noticed on the Indy Atlantic camera and also Hutchinson and Jupiter, which you see the camera below me there, the waves are crashing up all the way to either the seawall to some places or all the way to the dunes. So, you know, you got wave break right at the shoreline, and then the run up is running right up to the dunes here. So, you know, we're definitely getting some erosion with this kind of a pattern. You can see this trough just kind of sitting here. All right, that's helping to create the showers. But here's the old front, believe it or not. It's just north and west of the tropical storm that we had, the 45-mile-an-hour Oscar. So, unfortunately, remember what's been happening. We got all this rain from Milton, and that brought the St. Johns River back up. So you've got all these river gauges here that are high. And now you're pushing the water into the mouth of the St. Johns River. So the water can't get out. So it's just sitting there at major flood stage. We'll see a few showers. This looks a lot greener than what we may eventually have. But some of these showers actually have some stronger winds. For example, Fort Pierce gusted to 40 miles an hour as a result of one of these showers. It's getting a little bit more humid, even on the west side, but it's still breezy enough so that it's comfortable. All right, there's still people without power down here, over 5,000 customers without power. So, you know, it's nice to have the breeze when we're there in the mid-80s, and we've got the dew points now kind of in the upper 50s, low 60s, and even climbing. Dew points are in the 70s on the East Coast, so it's much more humid there, but you also have the stronger breeze. There's the St. John's. It's going to take till November. Sorry.
Marshall's buyers have a very particular set of skills. They can hunt down the latest trends.
Double denim is back. So chic.
And take quality very, very seriously.
Ceramic.
They're highly trained deal-making professionals who travel far and wide to hustle the best of the best for you. We get the deals. You get the good stuff. Marshalls.
Vicks VapoStick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors. Easy to apply for the whole family. Vicks VapoStick. And try new Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors.
Blue Chew? Yeah, you know Blue Chew? Yeah, so it's like chewable tablet things like...
Oh, girl, how do you know Blue Chew?
Her man.
Come on. And it made you like him more, right?
Absolutely. Or you could...
Where do I get Blue Chew? Well, you can go online and get your first month free, actually, so...
Power outages can be unpredictable, inconvenient, and disruptive to your life.
posing a real threat to your family's comfort and safety. When the power goes out, you have no lights, no refrigeration, no heating or air conditioning.
The winds are not letting up at all here. We're going to see some power outages. The number one thing to prepare for is extended power outages.
Are you prepared? You can be with a Generac home standby generator. When a power outage occurs, your Generac home standby generator automatically powers up using your home's existing natural gas or propane, so your life goes on without disruption. You and your family are comfortable, safe, and secure. Stay tuned to get over a $500 value free on the most popular home standby generator in the world.
With the Generac, we don't have to worry about whether we lose power or not. If the utility company does not come through, our Generac does.
Having a Generac takes a lot of the anxiety out of there's going to be a storm.
After the hurricane happened, we just want to be prepared for anything.
Generac generators are designed, engineered, and built in the USA. 8 out of 10 home generators are Generac and have thousands of satisfied customers.
How many times have you heard people say, I never want to go through that again? Well, the next time that you go through it, don't make it so hard on yourself. Have a Generac home standby generator.
Call or go online now to request your free quote with one of Generac's nationwide dealers. Special financing and low monthly payment options are available. And if you call now, you will also receive a free 5-year warranty valued at over $500. The call is free, the quote is free, and there's no obligation to buy. Call or go online now so the next time there's a power outage, your home powers up. Power your life with Generac. Call or go online to request your free quote today.
Progressive makes it easy to see if you can save money with a commercial auto quote online, so you can get back to your monster to-do list.
Super helpful.
See if you can save money at progressivecommercial.com.
Thank you.
Amazon fall favorites are here. Save on fashion, home, beauty, and more. Shop Amazon fall favorites now.
The beautiful fall colors are popping up all over the country, but it certainly does not feel like fall. More than 200 million people will see above average temperatures. In fact, some of you flirting with records today across the Midwest and moving into the Northeast. So just a reminder, we've already had 31 hot car deaths this year. We're trying to prevent this from happening. Houston, it's going to be hot out there. Mid-80s for you, and inside an enclosed vehicle with the AC off, it gets up to 105 after 10 minutes, 120 after 30 minutes. So never leave the kids, the pets in the car, even if you're just running a few quick errands. Washington, D.C., we should be mid-60s this time of the year. We're going to be around 81 degrees, just a few degrees shy of the record. And look at how quickly the interior of that vehicle heats up to 115 by the time we get towards a half an hour later. So once you get to your destination, also lock up your vehicle so the kids don't get in there and then they can't get out. Jim, it can be really, really dangerous in a situation like this.
Make sure the favorite toy, okay, is out of the vehicle, because a lot of times they'll go back in for that.
Right.
They get into the car and then they can't get out. So that's another issue. So remember that. All that stuff. Got to think ahead. It's going to be warm. Kelly showed you, even here in late October, what can happen on the inside of your car, which, you know, it's going to get excessively hot. But it's kind of, you know, if you look at this, Wednesday, yeah, the big heat over the Great Lakes is gone in terms of the 25 degree above average, the record highs. But, I mean, we're only kind of going back to normal here. This next cold front is not going to be like the previous one. If you remember this time last week, we were talking about the cold, the first frost for many, the snow in southern Appalachia and up through the central part of the Appalachians as well. But this morning, we're talking about the leftovers of that air mass, which we see in the 40s this morning and 50s. And then the return flow, the southerly winds. I mean, Minneapolis 65, that's higher, I think, than your average high for this time of the year. Okay, so we start off the day higher than your average high, and you're talking about getting up to 83 degrees. So, I mean, just beautiful, splendid air mass. You know, we've had a very mundane pattern here with the exception of Roswell, New Mexico over the weekend, okay, and the tropics. But you know, this is just fine. I mean, 75 over 72, the old record, 81, 78. These are a couple old records here, Bangor and Alpena, that we will likely break. Today, it's the Great Lakes. It's southern Quebec and Ontario that deal with the warmth. We get into tomorrow, some of this starts to ooze east, but we really don't lose kind of the size of this area. As a matter of fact, it grows, as you saw from the first map, getting in toward Wednesday. So even behind the system, where that 55 shows up at Bismarck. And yeah, it's going to be feeling a lot colder initially, but I mean, of course, when you go from 85 to 55, you know, that's a big shock to the system. But it's only going to be kind of a 1 or 2 dayer. 84 is the record high for Philadelphia tomorrow. That's an old record from 1920 that we could easily break. So we'll see. Again, more warmth spread out a little bit. Even Chicago's cool down on Wednesday to average starts to warm up again by the time we get in toward Thursday. Pittsburgh, you're just on the cooling side of that, but 61 versus 60, I mean, we're about average. So really the point here is all we do is go back to average with this air mass. It's not going to be record cold like we had with the last one. Jordan?
Yeah, come on. Can we just have like a stretch of average instead of this like, whoa, we're way above it, oh, we're way below it?
Nobody would have any fun if it was just average.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. But just like a week of just like, nice fall, good fall weather. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's been beautiful to be outside in the afternoon, but sometimes it can get a little warm. And when you have highs like this, like in Pittsburgh at 81 tomorrow afternoon, I mean, you could actually hear your AC turn on to your house. It's going to be that warm. Indianapolis will be 79. You will feel the cool down first around the Great Lakes as it's coming from Canada and dropping southeast and eventually traversing across all this land as we head into your Thursday. So this is a look at Thursday afternoon. We'll finally start to see and feel the cooler weather, as Jim was talking about, getting us back to average with this cool front, as I'm calling it, instead of a big cold front. We have a little blue on the map, which would indicate below average temperatures. Not a lot, though. And that's one of the reasons why he's saying we're not really getting too cold. We're just going to get us back down to where we should be this time of year. And then look at this, right on the back side of it. We're going back up and down and up and down. It's like, can we just consistent for like a week? Just give me a week, okay? Just give me a week. Here's a look at the rainfall projections. Not a ton. We could maybe see some storms moving their way towards Iowa as we work our way into tomorrow. Here's a look at tomorrow afternoon around the Arrowhead. Some of those storms around Duluth and International Falls, blowing through Marquette and the Upper Peninsula. Some of those showers trying to work their way around Michigan, but really this isn't a rainmaker at all. Moisture starved, if anything. The big story is going to be what the winds are doing. They'll be breezy out of the south today, tomorrow, then we'll change out of the northwest. Notice the magenta color, that would indicate maybe gust 35 plus, and that'll stay with us through your midweek time frame. Pretty windy off the lakes as well. Don't want your boats out there. It's just going to be pretty choppy before winds cool down later in the week. We'll be back.
They say, Lauren, what's the secret to a long, sustained relationship?
It's Blue Chew.
Blue Chew.
Blue Chew?
Blue Chew. Blue Chew. Blue Chew. Blue Chew is an online subscription-based service that sends these affordable tablets directly to your home. No one even has to know.
You okay? Yeah, I'm just tired. They changed my Medicare Advantage plan, so I've been trying to find a new one, and it's so much work.
Don't do it yourself. Call GoHealth.
GoHealth?
Yeah, GoHealth. They take your information, they do the research, they compare plans, then they recommend the plan that best meets your needs.
Really?
GoHealth found me a plan with prescription drug coverage, vision care, dental care, preventative care services, plus extra benefits that cost me less than my old plan.
That sounds perfect.
And the service is free.
Here's how we've helped over 10 million Americans shop for the Medicare plan that's right for them. First, we listen to learn what your needs and priorities are. Then, using our proprietary Plan Fit technology, we compare your needs to the features and benefits of some of the top Medicare carriers in America, like Cigna Healthcare, Humana, United Healthcare, and WellCare, to find the best plan for you and your budget. Whether you're looking for a plan with prescription drug coverage, vision care, dental care, hearing care, and more, GoHealth will find the plan that's right for you at a price you can afford.
I'm calling.
If you're trying to get the most bang for your buck, looking for a new plan, or new to Medicare, GoHealth can help. The call is free. Our service is free. There's no risk and no obligation. Get the right Medicare Advantage plan for you at a price you can afford.
Call 800-808-8441 or go to gohealth.com now. That's 800-808-8441 or go to gohealth.com now. Don't do it yourself. Call GoHealth.
It's the personal price plan theorem. If you bundle home and auto, that can equal an affordable price just for you.
Bundle and save with the personal price plan. All right. Yeah. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
You never want to lose your edge. And the Lexus RX completely understands that.
Did I read this? Did I get eggs? Where are my keys?
Don't wait while memory and thinking issues pile up. These issues may seem like normal aging, but could be due to a buildup of amyloid plaques in the brain. Amyloid can build up over time. The sooner you talk to your doctor, the more options you may have. Visit amyloid.com for additional information.
Welcome back. Hope you had a great weekend. Time to get back to work, back to school. And if you're doing any traveling, we do have some weather-related issues that could pop up later today. But looking across the entire country right now, no delays except for a few maintenance-related delays. SeaTac, we could see some problems at that airport with the rain coming through, as well as Portland, also down towards South Florida, Miami. And right in the middle of the country, you've got that chance for showers and thunderstorms, which could be severe later on today. We've already had a couple of severe warnings. They've been in western Texas, but note the turbulence as well. If you're flying at about cruising altitude, 20 to 30,000 feet, there will be some of the bumpy air across the middle of the country into the plains. And even outside of severe weather, you know, there could be some very gusty conditions in through here. But high wind and hail, that will be your primary threat if we do get some severe warnings anywhere from Nebraska through Kansas, all the way down into the western side of Oklahoma, panhandle of Texas as well. And it's going to be with that daytime heating that we'll see the bigger chance for the bigger hail to develop out of these storms. Notice haze down at Dodge City as we head towards lunchtime today, midday, moving towards Wichita as we head toward the dinner time hour, up towards Nebraska. It's been very hot lately. Omaha, you've been in the 90s. Now we got the showers and storms rolling through early tomorrow morning. And again, even outside of severe weather, there will be some gusty winds buffeting these interstates like 80 and 90, but then that wind will die down as the sun goes down. Jordan?
Well, Kelly, Hurricane Helene's catastrophic flooding has forever changed the communities across western North Carolina. And as recovery continues, we're hearing more and more from people who face life-threatening situations during that storm. In fact, in Yancey County, Susie Hillard tells us the devastating moment she lost her home.
That morning, the river, it was starting to get up. And then the creek beside our house started getting up. So my mom lives across the street, so we went over to get her. She's 92 years old, and as I was trying to get her to the door, my husband looked out and he says, "We can't get out." He said, "My truck will go through that water." So we went back into the house, and at that point, his truck just washed away. Her front yard was covered with just waves of water. And then it was circling her house, just circling and circling. Went to the back door, and my husband got a foothold because the water was probably knee deep. And he pushed me across the water to where I could get a foothold. And then he got my mom and put her out to where I could get a hold of her hands, and I pulled her to me. So we started at the hill, but at 92, my mom, she couldn't walk it, so we had a little goat fence there, and she crawled under it, and so she crawled up the hill to our neighbor's house. We hadn't been there very long. And then I saw my house. It was just like it picked up. The water was over the top. You could just see the eave. Just like it floated away. And as it went across, I think the tip end of my house hit my mom's house. And hers just uprooted and it floated away. So we just lost both of them. We got out with our lives, so we are alive, which I'm so blessed and so grateful. But we've lived here 50 years, and my mom had lived there 70 years, and we've just never seen anything like this.
None of us have. The power of that storm and the amount of rain that they received, it was obviously topping the charts from a meteorological perspective. But these stories, there are so many stories like this, and we're still looking to get at least power back on to where some of these communities had power originally. And unfortunately, what is it power to? Because ultimately, there could be a lot there now where there once was a home. But there's still some power outages. I'll get you in a moment. The good news is we don't have any big weather makers coming in anytime soon. So we've had kind of a dry stretch. We had a big cool down last week. We'll get another one this week. It's not going to be as potent, but still cold enough for anybody who doesn't have power. And that's 5,700 or so customers here in Western North Carolina. So generators are still needing to be run, and gas, cans are being delivered, and just communication, getting that back online, that took a long time, and just getting water restored for places like Asheville. So it's been weeks now with, hopefully getting things back into routine. Sunshine will be the name of the game. Pretty much all of this week, it looks great temp-wise. The evenings are going to be cool, or the morning hours. Here's a look at where we go tomorrow morning. 30s and 40s will be pretty much widespread in and around the mountainous area of Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, and even Virginia. And even warming up a little bit, a couple degrees each day before we get that cold front to pass through. So Wednesday, a couple more 80s on the docket, even back towards Nashville. As you can see, Roanoke will be bordering 80 degrees. But for us in Asheville, notice, not a drop in our forecast anytime soon. Jim?
All right, let's get you out the door in the Northeast where, I don't think you could ask for a better October day, frankly. It may even be a little too warm for some of us. Starting out in the 50s, getting up into the 80s, of course, it's all celebration. The Yankees are heading to Los Angeles to face the Dodgers in Game 1 and 2. Then they come back to New York next week, likely Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So a week from now, they'll be back in the big city. We can only hope that the weather looks like it is here. But I think, guys, with the pattern the way it is, there's a pretty good chance of it.
Emergency crystals pop and fizz when you throw them back. And who doesn't love a good throwback? Now with vitamin D for the dark days of winter.
With Dexcom G7, managing your diabetes just got easier. So, what's your glucose number right now? Good thing you don't need a finger stick. How's all that food affect your glucose? Oh, the answer's on your phone. What if you're hitting low at night? Wow, it can alert you. And you can even track your goals. Manage your diabetes with confidence with Dexcom G7, the most accurate CGM. Learn more at Dexcom.com.
Struggling with moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis? Talk to your doctor about #1 prescribed Entyvio, offering 2 maintenance options, including the Entyvio pen. Infusion and serious allergic reactions can happen during or after treatment. Entyvio may increase risk of infection, which can be serious. PML, a rare, potentially fatal brain infection, cannot be ruled out. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, sores, or are prone to infections. Liver problems can occur. Entyvio, relief, remission for real.
Entyvio, Entyvio, Entyvio.
Goldbelly is shipping the world's greatest food nationwide. So, if you want Ina Garten's famous coconut cake, Danielle Boulud's award-winning beef and butter kit, stone crabs from Miami's most iconic restaurant, or Chicago's legendary deep dish pizza, go with Goldbelly. Free shipping nationwide.
You had your Hershey's?
I hate underwire bras.
I finally found the perfect bra, and guess what? There's no underwire. It is crazy that you can get this much support from a bra that has absolutely zero underwire. It's totally invisible, even under the tightest tops.
I finally found an underwire-free bra that's actually comfortable. No back fat, no spillage, and doesn't cut into me.
It doesn't stretch, doesn't sag. The quality is phenomenal.
Honeylove has a 30-day money-back guarantee.
Try the crossover bra today at honeylove.com.
You know the most exciting thing about life? It's how you can change it. You can move to new cities, meet new people, take on new challenges. So reimagine yourself. We did. The all-new Nissan Kicks.
A little birdie told us that you're looking for more ways to save on all your favorite Giant Eagle items. In meat, dairy, and produce. So we're making it easy with new lower prices, weekly sales, deals for days, and My Perks. Surround yourself with savings every time you shop at your neighborhood Giant Eagle.
Ready for an electric vehicle? Trust the Pro. Introducing the Honda Prologue, the all-new fully electric SUV. A pro at style, a pro at space, and a pro at being good for the environment and your wallets. Drive a new Prologue today with 0.9% financing for 60 months. A Pro is KBB.com's best overall EV hybrid brand. So if you're pro EVs and low finance rates, you need the Honda Prologue. Search your local Honda dealer today.
.com/smooth. When the sun goes down, the danger level just skyrockets.
Relive the most unpredictable and jaw-dropping moments from those that experienced it.
With wind that strong, that fire was going to be basically impossible to stop.
Wild Weather Week begins tonight at 8 on the Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 48 degrees under sunny skies. Today, sunny, very warm. High 78. Winds south-southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, generally clear. Low 45. Winds light and variable. Tuesday, sunshine, very warm. High 80. Winds south at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Travis County Sheriff Mike Harrington. At this time, I am sitting on the roof of my cop car, my police truck. I am completely surrounded by water at this time. So, as you can see down here, that is the side of my truck. And there are multiple vehicles came into this not expecting that much water. And before I know it, I was swept off into this.
So, flash flooding can catch anyone off guard. In this case, it was a sheriff stranded on top of his cruiser in Roswell, New Mexico. The flooding killed at least 2 people, and more than 300 others had to be rescued. Guys, remember, I mean, first of all, look at this water. It's murky, it's dirty, you can't really tell what's going on underneath. It's also moving, or some of the shots, certainly that I've seen, different video aspects of this. Power of water is just unbelievable here, guys. I mean, first of all, it's about 62 point something pounds a square foot. That's when, if you just took a block of water, which is essentially incompressible, it's 62 pounds. Then you start moving it. Think of the force behind that. I've seen more extreme damage from water than anything I've ever seen with wind. Water is unbelievable. So what did this? All right. We had an upper low, which kind of parked itself near the Four Corners. It was just west. So it was really sitting over the Grand Canyon. All right. You had Nadine down to the south. Some of that low-level Gulf moisture ran up the Sierra Madre into our mountain chain. All right, the sea, you know, into the Rockies, and boom, now you've got this moisture feed coming into New Mexico. Plus, we had a Pacific feed coming in from the deep tropics. So all of that led to training of storms, and you can see them right there, just sitting over eastern New Mexico. It was the perfect setup, unfortunately, and all it took was just a few hours for this part of New Mexico to get a half a year's worth of rain, a half a year's worth. So you're talking about 6-7 inches of rain through here. So there's Roswell. You can see they went under 2 flash flood emergencies as a result of this. And really, it trained for a few hours, 2 or 3 hours, and then it was gone. So think about the rainfall rates that we had to have there. Just incredible rainfall rates to produce 6-7 inches. You know, you're talking about over 2 inches an hour in terms of the rainfall rates there. 7.3 south of Roswell, 3.9, 4.7. So it's very consistent. Plus, if you kind of look here, you get the idea we've got these multiple train tracks. So this kind of set up in different areas and just kept training as the upper low started to move to the northeast. And by the way, this thing produced 8 to 10 inches of snow this morning over parts of Colorado. So some big snow in the high country and through here. That's your recap. Things like this can set up, albeit rare. But I think it's just weird. We had such a pattern that was all high pressure everywhere, with the exception of this upper low.
To see that headline come out.
I think Nadine and the Pacific feed really helped to feed that situation.
And you've got the mountainous terrain that helps to rising air, all of that. Hey, got some video here showing you the gray skies and robust waves now that we're transitioning our conversation to the tropics. This is Oscar. It made a second landfall in Cuba on Sunday. Right now, the storm is battering the Caribbean island with heavy rain and life-threatening flash flooding, and I'll talk a little bit about that. Obviously not an ideal situation as the island is dealing with one of the worst blackouts in years. Earlier Sunday, Oscar made landfall as a Cat 1 hurricane in the Bahamas and then made a second landfall in Cuba, as mentioned, and right now that is where it sits, slowly churning over the eastern side of the island and really not moving at all. That's the big headline here, where you got movement west at 2 miles per hour. So it was moving, then slamming on the brakes now and going to sit there all day, a majority of the day, before we see it move to the north and then eventually head up potentially around the Turks and Caicos and then out of here. But it's going to take some time, and that's why we've got a life-threatening flash flood event that's pretty much ongoing here this morning with our 45-mile-per-hour storm. So tropical storm warnings are up. We do have the watch here for parts of the Bahamas. Maybe you guys could see some action out of this. Notice the big shears up on the northern tier. The direction is going to have this thing now transfer to the north. So remember, up to this point, it was kind of working its way westward, and it's going to slow down by tomorrow, or I guess I should say this evening. It doesn't move much. It jaunts just a little bit to the north. By tomorrow morning, this white line indicates where it could be. 45-mile-per-hour storm, which is where it'll stay, and then it'll finally start to move quicker as it gets pulled with the upper level flow. So again, it'll sit there for about a day. By the time we head into tomorrow, that shear, that cold front that's going to be tracking across the lower 48, that's going to help steer this thing and pull it off to the north and to the east. Notice it's still somewhat with us as we head into your midweek time frame. It'll be out of the Bahamas by then and hopefully torn apart as it kind of works its way through the greater Atlantic area while our shear still stays here. So for the rest of the week, this will really be it in terms of the tropical conversation. We have had that, sinking air, which suppresses storms, but notice the transition that's going to happen as we head into next week. We start to see rising air return and an area closer to home base. This time of year, that's where we can technically see these storms spin up. It'll be around the main development region as well, but we obviously got to keep a close eye on what happens towards home base. So the overall plan here, as you can kind of see some energy starting to drift west. It's a terrible arrow, but we'll be keeping an eye on that in the next week.
How do I keep my protection against COVID-19 up to date with a COVID shot this season?
You can get your COVID-19 shot when getting your flu shot if you're due for both, as recommended by the CDC. Ask your healthcare provider and book at vaxassist.com.
Consumer Cellular is lowering the price for those 50 and up. Get 2 unlimited lines for $30 each. That's just $60 a month. So switch to the carrier ranked #1 in network coverage satisfaction. Visit consumercellular.com today.
When you're looking for answers, it's good to have help, because the right information at the right time may make all the difference. At Humana, we know that's especially true when you're looking for a Medicare supplement insurance plan. That's why we're offering 7 things every Medicare supplement should have. It's yours free, just for calling the number on your screen. And when you call, a knowledgeable licensed agent producer can answer any questions you have and help you choose the plan that's right for you. The call is free, and there's no obligation. You see, Medicare covers only about 80% of your Part B medical expenses. The rest is up to you. That's why so many people purchase Medicare supplement insurance plans like those offered by Humana. They're designed to help you save money and pay some of the costs Medicare doesn't. Depending on the Medicare supplement plan you select, you could have no deductibles or copayments for doctor visits, hospital stays, emergency care, and more. You can keep the doctors you have now, ones you know and trust, with no referrals needed. Plus, you can get medical care anywhere in the country, even when you're traveling. With Humana, you get a competitive monthly premium and personalized service from a healthcare partner working to make healthcare simpler and easier for you. You can choose from a wide range of standardized plans. Each one is designed to work seamlessly with Medicare and help save you money. So how do you find the plan that's right for you? One that fits your needs and your budget. Call Humana now at the number on your screen for this free guide. It's just one of the ways that Humana is making healthcare simpler. And when you call, a knowledgeable licensed agent producer can answer any questions you have and help you choose the plan that's right for you. The call is free and there's no obligation. You know Medicare won't cover all your medical costs, so call now and see why a Medicare supplement plan from a company like Humana just might be the answer.
Hi, and welcome everyone watching at home. We're here to remind you that we have agents standing by right now to answer your legal questions. So if you've been injured in an accident that was not your fault, call now. Find out if you have a case and how much is potentially worth. I'm Gina Bellich, here with spokesman and TV personality Tom Mustin. So Tom, tell everyone watching at home who should call right now.
Well, Gina, first off, thank you for having me here in the studio. Now, as far as who should call in, the answer is anyone who's been injured in an accident that was not your fault should give us a call right now. Agents are standing by to answer any questions you may have and tell you how much your case is potentially worth.
Thanks, Tom. So what kind of calls are we seeing today?
Well, Gina, we're getting calls about all types of accidents, but the most common has been car accidents. So if you or someone you know were injured in an accident that was not your fault, take that first step and give us a call. We'll answer your questions, and you'll find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth.
Thanks, Tom. Call now.
Deadly flooding versus an extended dry stretch for millions. A pair of problems split the U.S. as people look toward the final days of October.
While there might be an end in sight for one threat, the other brings a host of concerns as fall gets into full swing.
Well, we're here to get you ready for what's ahead in your day.
From coast to coast, the Weather Channel has you covered, and that means rain is coming down in a few spots, but unfortunately not where we need it the most. And that is providing some relief for those recovering after 2 landfalling hurricanes in the last month. We're talking about some of the dry weather.
Yeah, it's right. It's like the extremes, right? There's been a few places that have seen a lot of rain from the recent landfalling tropical systems and what happened in New Mexico over the weekend. But so many of the rest of us are still dealing with really dry conditions, and we need the rain.
Not a drop of rain in Atlanta for the month of October, and not really a lot of rain in sight either. Meanwhile, this kind of fall chill that we've been feeling for a lot of us is actually not sticking around. So we're going to see a rebound into more summer-like temperatures for many of us, especially in the eastern third of the United States. But look all the way down into places like Texas, where we are likely to see record highs again. I know we just got through a stretch of some record highs. That was before our last front came through. But now we're seeing that rebound. Now, there is going to be another front, but it's not going to be the type of front that we just saw. It's going to take these temperatures, which are well above average, 70s and 80s across most of the map, and it's going to take them down just to average, what you would expect this time of year. So today, these are the records that are in jeopardy of being broken, especially in places like Maine, where we are well above average and we are well above some of the records. But even places like Burlington, Vermont, we're likely going to tie a record right there at 76 today. Same deal for many of us tomorrow. You can see some of the temperatures well into the 80s in the south. So Dallas, we're back to 87. Houston getting very close to the upper 80s as well. And the proximity to the Gulf, that means that we're going to have some humidity that tries to sneak back in there, too. So it's not just going to be warm. It's also going to be more humid. Tomorrow, Philly, you could break a record. New York City, very close to the record. Tulsa, Oklahoma, making it into the 90s. Yes, we do see some warmer temperatures. Typically in late October, it's kind of like the summer's last word. But, you know, this is pretty deep into the season to see 90 degrees. There's the front I was talking about. And no, it's not going to bring temperatures way down. It's not going to bring some of the wind chill issues that we saw just last week. But instead, it's bringing us right back down into average with a northerly wind. And so that's going to help bring in some of the cooler air to many of these areas. Now, as this front passes through, we could also see a very small chance for showers. It's not going to be a lot, and it's going to be along that front that you see passing through, and it's going to dive a few showers right on the backside of that front into the UP of Michigan, but most of the rain stays up into Canada. Do we see a few showers in the higher elevations of, say, Vermont, over into Maine? Certainly a possibility, but it's not going to be a lot of rain. Buffalo, just for one example, we're going to be in the 70s, upper 70s for tomorrow, and our cold front is going to bring us slightly below average. But Dr. Postel, not much. It's staying dry in Buffalo, too.
Staying dry, Molly, that is such a good point. You know, most of the country is actually dealing with drought conditions. Not everywhere, right? We talked about that because we've seen some landfalling tropical systems bring some heavy rain to the southeast in particular. And, of course, a lot of what's going on in New Mexico and Colorado the last couple of days brought a lot of heavy rain there. But look at this picture in the bigger view. So many of us are dealing with drought conditions from the West Coast all the way to the East Coast and in the upper Midwest as well. How about this statistic? For the top 5 driest starts to fall in the region, in the upper Midwest, all the way from the Dakotas to the Great Lakes, so many stations are at their driest start on record. This is remarkable. This is not one location or two. It's a lot, all the way from Minneapolis, Fargo, Bismarck, Valentine, Nebraska, even in Michigan. This is the second driest start to the fall on record in Alpena. Now, let's move ahead just a couple of days and see if there's any substantial rainfall for many of those locations in the upper Midwest yet to come. Well, we're trying. There is an upper level low right here that's going to try to bring a little bit of rain into the region, but it's not going to be effective. The progressive pattern in the jet stream keeps moving these systems all the way through, and through midweek, through Thursday, we're not really seeing a whole lot of precipitation anywhere in the country. Now, some of us might like that, where we've seen a lot of rain in recent weeks. But the vast majority of us, we're not getting any, and we need it. It is pretty remarkable, even in the Northeast. How about this? Again, the driest starts to the fall. We are breaking records in many of these locations as the #1 so far. Now, how about this? New York, check this out. This is the last stat I'm going to show. New York, 21 consecutive days so far with no measurable rain. Where does that stack up in history? Well, we're not yet in the top 5, but I have a sneaking suspicion we're going to get there. We're not looking at a lot of rain coming into the Northeast, Molly, in the next couple days. So we're going up that list toward the driest start to fall in even New York City.
Well, let's look at the opposite pattern, and that is 2 people were killed in dangerous flash flooding over the weekend in Roswell, New Mexico. The Spring River Channel overflowed, and streets in the city's downtown filled with water. Drivers got stuck, many waiting on the tops of their cars to be rescued. Homes and buildings were also flooded. The rain, it stopped in New Mexico, and the water has receded. Now the system is moving into the Central Plains. But the recovery has to begin, and thankfully there is some nice weather for recovery, but this was all at once in an area that really can't handle that amount of water. So we have the recovery forecast for you in Roswell, New Mexico, where we're going to see some chilly mornings, but some nice, warm, sunny afternoons, and that's really key for recovery. Now we watch that system as it moves into the plains, and even so with very early morning severe thunderstorm warning, and this includes areas in the Panhandle. You see Amarillo there, so we're just south of Amarillo, and this is until 8:30. Hail is going to be the primary concern as we watch most of these storms fire up today, starting in the Texas Panhandle, but even extending up into Kansas and central Kansas. I mean, look at central Kansas across the I-70 corridor where we have even higher risk for severe weather. That was just upped by the Storm Prediction Center, that level of risk. So keep that in mind. Travel plans today, evening plans today in parts of Kansas. This could get a little bit dicey well into the afternoon and well into the evening time frame too. Even after the initial line passes through, you see some storms trying to form just after that as well. I want to take you through some of the specific cities that could be impacted by storms today, starting in Kansas City, where most of the afternoon is actually going to be fairly quiet. It's after dark that we see this line start to move through Kansas City. Now, I think by the time we make it to KC, it's going to be lose a little bit of its punch as far as the severe weather potential, but I'm much more concerned about areas like, say, Wichita, Kansas, where the timing for you is going to be right around that rush hour time frame when you're trying to get those dinner plans in, the evening activities, and that's when the weather could be the strongest. Flash floods can cause serious damage and put you in danger. Coming up, Jim Cantore gets in rushing waters to learn how to survive. The 3 things you need to know at 40 past the hour.
Well, not 1, but 2 storms were named on Saturday. Tropical storm Nadine and Hurricane Oscar. Oscar crashed into Cuba yesterday as a Category 1 hurricane after hitting the Bahamas earlier in the day. And as for Nadine, it spent 12 hours as a tropical storm, brought heavy rain and tropical storm conditions to parts of Belize and the Yucatan Peninsula. In Mexico, 2 people died when a landslide destroyed their home. So, yeah, the tropics are still alive in some sense. We've got a little bit of the season statistically yet to go. And if you look at the chart, thankfully, not that much more to go, right? About 10% here. We're all the way here toward the end of October. And really, technically, the hurricane season ends November 30th, but not much activity really happens beyond now. And thankfully, 90% of the hurricane season climatologically is over. That's excellent news. But that doesn't mean it's completely dead out there. As you just mentioned, as we just mentioned, we have still a tropical storm out there, and it made landfall over the weekend at least once in Cuba, and still bringing some very heavy rain, and that would be Tropical Storm Oscar. What you see on the bottom left part of that graphic here in front of you is what's left of Nadine that has now crossed over into Mexico, bringing, of course, very heavy rain to parts of Central America and nearby areas of Mexico. So this is still a part of the tropics that is yet to be really influenced by the cooler and drier and more stable air that is now infiltrating many other parts of the tropics. There's still this region here that is susceptible for tropical development. This is why we have Oscar. The atmosphere is still warm and humid. It thinks it's still summer in this part of the world, and lo and behold, we have a 45-mile-per-hour tropical storm. Thankfully, not going to likely get any stronger, and fairly soon going to move away from Cuba. And you can tell that just by looking at these satellite pictures. I spy a high-altitude wind flow pattern that kind of looks like that. You can see that now this system is being stretched out from northeast to southwest. Why would that be the case? Well, let's look at the winds aloft. This is the wind aloft pattern that's coming in. This is what's protecting Florida, the rest of the Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos and many other regions from getting anywhere near Oscar, right? Because the wind aloft is coming in like that really fast, and it is very soon going to deflect Oscar out to sea, and that will be the last of it. And we can see that according to the Hurricane Center, the intensity really doesn't go up, and it moves on its merry way very quickly out to sea on a path about like that. There it is right now. And you can see big old fat high pressure over the southeastern U.S. That is actually a fairly warm system, but it is very dry. That is no friend to tropical cyclones. Anytime we got a big high pressure in the East Coast or near the East Coast, like we will even this upcoming weekend, you can say we're pretty safe from any incoming tropical cyclones, because this air right here over the weekend is dry and stable, unfriendly to tropical systems. Molly, that's good news. I don't expect development. Maybe November, but that's too far out in the future to really have a good look at.
That's great news. Well, heartbreak caused by Helene is still raw in North Carolina, especially the mountains. Our Charles Peak spoke with a resident of Green Mountain who lost his son and his daughter-in-law to the historic flooding. He is now focused on raising his granddaughter with the love and support of his community.
On that Wednesday night before the flood, we had went to church, and Stephen, our son, and his wife Elena, and their 8-year-old daughter had come to church, and when we got ready to leave, little Bridget wanted to come and go home with us, and we tried to get Stephen and Elena to come, but they said they were going to go back home. And as the river came down, the water got more intense and whatever, and where they lived beside the river at Relief, it just came down all at once and took them. Stephen was found in Erwin, Tennessee, and we have done the funeral for him, and Lena is still not found. Little Bridget is 8-year-old, and she'll be staying with us, and the other grandparents we're all gonna work together and make for sure that she's well taken care of. So even though we've lost a son, we have the hope of going to be with him one day, and proud of my son and proud of my whole family. It is unimaginable the way that our community and fire departments and different organizations done for us far and above that we could even imagine. It's just been overwhelming the way that people has helped and done and wanting to help, and we just thank each and everybody that's done anything for us. With all of our heart, we pray and ask God that He would bless you as you've blessed us.
Recovery is still ongoing in Western North Carolina, and at this point, we're not talking recovery on the scale of weeks. It's going to be months to potentially years, and at least in the short term, we have some nice weather, and it's been nice. Now, the mornings have been a concern with how cold it's been, but now we're seeing temperatures back into the 70s, near 80 in the afternoon, and some warmer mornings than what we saw, say, last week when we were down into the 30s and even some 20s and spots in the higher elevations. But we know it's not just Western North Carolina that's recovering. It's also a lot of the Gulf Coast of Florida from two back-to-back hits, Helene and Milton. Now, something we have to contend with in Florida and say over to the Atlantic coast, where we've got some stronger onshore flow, is the fact that that's coinciding with king tides. And that means that you have the alignment of the orbits of the Earth, the sun, and the moon. And that means your high tide is going to be a little bit higher than what it usually is. And in some places, like, say, Charleston, that can cause what's called sunny day flooding. There's no storms out there. It's just the king tides bringing the water levels up a little bit higher. Now, we do have some stronger onshore flow, and so that's going to complicate it and bring water levels a little bit higher. And this is not just a weaker wind. We're talking in some places along the Atlantic coast, we could see those wind gusts 25, even close to 30 miles per hour. That'll start to calm down by the time we get to Tuesday, and especially into Wednesday. Those winds are going to be just slightly lighter than what we have seen. But it's really important to pay attention to some of those high tide cycles, especially if you have travel plans by some of those low-lying roads, say in Charleston or anywhere along the Atlantic coast. So take Jacksonville, for example. High tide today is at 2:07. The next one after that is going to be 2:25 in the morning. So at least it's happening overnight.
Well, while most of us are reaching for T-shirts, there are a few places where gloves and snow boots are needed. Coming up, we'll show you just where you can find winter.
Here's to getting better with age.
Here's to beating these two every Thursday.
Help fuel today with Boost High Protein. Complete nutrition you need and the flavor you love. So here's to now. Now available Boost Max.
Feeling from a backed up gut? Miralax works naturally with the water in your body to help you go. Free your gut and your mood will follow. For 8 grams of fiber, try Mirror Fiber Gummies.
What will you do when the power goes out? Power outages can be unpredictable and inconvenient, but with a Generac home standby generator, your life goes on uninterrupted, because when your Generac detects a power outage, it automatically powers up, giving your family the security and peace of mind they deserve.
We don't have to worry about whether we lose power or not. If the utility company does not come through, our Generac does.
after the hurricane happened. We just want to be prepared for anything.
8 out of 10 home generators are Generac, with thousands of satisfied customers.
The number one thing to prepare for is extended power outages. Don't make it so hard on yourself. Have a Generac home standby generator.
And owning a generator is easier than ever. Special financing and low monthly payment options are available. And if you call now, you will also receive a free 5-year warranty valued at over $500. Call or go online now to request your free quote.
I knew that something was different. I knew it, I called it, and look what I found today.
It's Blue Chew.
Blue Chew.
Blue Chew?
Blue Chew.
Blue Chew. Blue Chew.
Blue Chew. The Holy Grail. This is the secret. If you don't know, now you know. You can get it on a subscription model, so men can get delivered every month. And for the ladies, let your man know, and you're welcome in advance.
I didn't have to spend my life trying to find my calling. Mine found me at an early age. It was just a matter of how good I could get and how far I would go.
At Ram, our calling is to build trucks. So when you find your calling, nothing can stop you from answering it.
Right now during Ram Power Days, get $4,000 cash allowance on the purchase of most 2025 Ram 1500 trucks. Don't miss Ram Power Days. Hurry in today.
Every fall, we say hello to a change in routine and just a little bit of chaos.
Everybody have everything? Yeah. Great.
This is no more evident than in your driveway. It's center stage for handoffs, trunk swaps, and countless last-second pivots. We're here for what's ahead, helping you shift seasons in style, no matter how long it takes to get on your way. Because this fall, we've got a lot to look forward to. Your fall favorites are here.
The Weather Channel TV app is keeping you ahead of the storm all hurricane season.
Our goal is to keep people safe.
Start your free trial and be prepared all season.
One was a great year. Prices were low, technology was king, and Columbus Door Sales opened, providing reliable service and the latest technology in the industry. Nearly 60 years later, Columbus Door Sales continues to offer our customers fast, friendly service, and still using the latest technology to help you pick out the perfect garage door. Integrity, value, experience. That's Columbus Door Sales.
Richard. Countless nights in the garage. 8 shiny new pistons. 1 very happy 16-year-old granddaughter. And 2 years since starting cancer treatment at Ohio Health.
Currently in our area, 48 degrees under sunny skies. Today, sunny, very warm. High 79. Winds south-southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, generally clear. Low 45. Winds light and variable. Tuesday, sunshine, very warm. High 80. Winds south at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
When the sun goes down, the danger level just skyrockets.
Witness the most awe-inspiring weather from around the world.
I hear this sound that's like a freight train.
Relive the most unpredictable and jaw-dropping moments from those that experienced it.
There it is! Go! Inside! With winds that strong, that fire was going to be basically impossible to stop.
Wild Weather Week begins tonight at 8 on the Weather Channel.
Welcome back. Winter is showing up in full force in the Rockies. The higher elevations of Colorado getting blanketed with snow. don't break out the skis and snowboards just yet. Both Vail and Copper Mountain don't open for their ski season until early November. But this is a good site. I mean, if you're thinking about it, you're thinking ahead, you're thinking, I need some snow out there. There is some at the higher elevations of the Rockies, including some of these spots. You see that Evergreen, Vail, and Copper Mountain. Temperatures cold enough, certainly, even in some places, to make that snow. So overall, is this too early, or is this about the right time where we'd see snowfall in the west, and in particular at those higher elevations? Well, in Colorado, look at those purple shades showing up in the west. This is when you start to see your first snow of the season. That would be October. So we're right on cue. We're looking good. Things are moving in and moving along as anticipated, and statistically that would be the case. But if you're in the Northeast and you're wondering, when is my first snow usually? Well, typically in the shaded blue, it's not until later November. Maybe at some of the higher elevations, you get a little bit. We've seen some of that already. But for the most part, in the Northeast, at the higher elevations, in the ski resorts, it is late November that we see our first snow. But in the west, it comes earlier. The higher elevations bring us those colder conditions. And so far in the last few days, we've seen, well, 3 to 5, 6 to 10, even more than a foot of snow in some of the higher elevations of the Sangre de Cristo Mountains in southern Colorado and northern New Mexico. And yet to come, a little bit is left. We've got winter weather advisories out for parts of the west, just west of Denver, of course, at elevations there, certainly above 8,000 or 9,000 feet. Here's some of the radar returns that we're getting now across parts of the region. Steamboat Springs, light snow. Breckenridge, however, you see some of those bigger snowflake icons. That tells us that's moderate snow, probably accumulating ½ inch to 1 inch per hour, and that is a visibility of about a ½ mile or less, generally speaking. But of course, down at 5,000 plus feet in Denver, 48 degrees, no snow there at all. Now let's move this into forecast mode, going from today through the next couple of days. Yeah, there's that upper level low that's in place that's giving us the cold air aloft that we need for the snow. But beyond that, going into Wednesday and Thursday, not really any more snow coming to parts of Colorado, more of it focused in parts of the Pacific Northwest. But Molly, anything would be good news for the skiers. I know we're starting to get excited about the ski season.
I think a lot of people are. People are starting to plan their trips, and parts of the West are also dealing with heavy rain. Let's take a look at Talent, Oregon. If you're wondering, where is that? That is just south of Medford. You've got rain, you've got wind in the forecast, but that should all clear up over the next few days. And if you're heading out the door, you'll want to be careful as roads are a little bit slick this morning. You can see that temperature there, 52 degrees. We've got rain on the roads, so traveling there could be a little bit slower than usual. But if you're taking a flight this morning, everywhere looks pretty good so far. Of course, we could see some complications as the day goes on. And we do have a few smaller airports, like say in Roswell, New Mexico, where we had all the flooding over the weekend. A few of those early morning flights have been canceled, so make sure you check ahead before you go. Here, as the day goes on, we could see some delays, maybe in Denver. This is what Dr. Postel was just talking about. Seattle, potentially with some rain and wind, more importantly, coming into parts of the Pacific Northwest. So no delays right now in Seattle, but as the day goes on and we get more of the rain to move in and the wind will start to pick up in the second half of the day, that could cause perhaps some delays. Driving-wise, it's going to be a little bit slower on the 5 corridor, where we just saw the rain in, say, Talent, Oregon. We're going to continue to see the rain move into the Pacific Northwest. Meanwhile, the wind is going to be picking up across parts of the upper Midwest and even down through parts of the Central Plains, where we're anticipating severe weather for the second half of the day. So high-profile vehicles, it's going to be a bit of a drive that you have to hold really tight onto the steering wheel because of the winds coming in, especially at some of those, highways where you've got the wind coming in a different direction to what you're driving. Now, we've got the turbulence forecast. We know with the upper levels of the atmosphere, we've got some stronger wind as well. If you're a nervous flyer, just keep in mind that they try very hard to fly around all of the turbulence that's out there so that, you only get the slight bumps and you don't get those big drops. That can be really scary. They do their best to fly around those, and they've gotten really good at it in the past, say, 2 decades, flying around some of the most intense turbulence. But even as we get into Wednesday, we're still watching some showers at our higher elevations. But as a whole, a lot of the lower 48 is pretty quiet. And you may need to check ahead if you're traveling across the Atlantic to Europe. This is flooding that swamped a small community north of Florence in Italy. The area was cut off by water that filled buildings and even submerged cars. Thankfully, the red alert was issued for flooding on Saturday, and that was downgraded by Sunday. And no matter where you are headed, the TWC streaming app is your home for alerts and changes to the conditions that could impact your plans. Go to streamtwc.com to get it for Roku, Amazon Fire, and Google TV.
HCM is a serious heart condition affecting as many as 1 in 200 people. Like me.
And me. It can impact how you feel and what you can do.
I still felt tired on my beta blocker. So I talked to my cardiologist.
About treatment advances in HCM that gave me new options.
It was a breakthrough for me.
That conversation was big for me.
Talk to your cardiologist today and visit hcmrealtalk.com for more information.
I was drowning in debt.
I had over $36,000 in debt. If I would have just made the minimum payments, it would have taken me 59 years to pay off.
National Debt Relief can significantly reduce the amount you owe.
National Debt Relief reduced my debt by over $27,000.
With National Debt Relief, you have a powerful team that knows how to talk to your creditors.
National Debt Relief, they got me out of debt.
Call or visit nationaldebtrelief.com to get started.
The Omaha Steaks semi-annual sale is back. Right now, you'll save 50% site-wide on America's best steaks, chicken, burgers, and so much more. All backed by our 100% guarantee that you'll love every bite. And for a limited time, when you go to omahasteaks.com/TV, you'll get 12 Omaha Steaks burgers free with your order. Visit omahasteaks.com/TV today and save big on the quality you deserve.
The best feeling is when we take off our bras. It's not true. So you take off your bra, but then you feel the weight. What's the solution? Honey Love bras are the most comfortable bras I've ever worn. No underwire, so there's never any digging into your skin. There is some boning on the sides, which make it super comfortable and supportive. And one of my favorite parts, no back fat. Never. The back straps are so wide and so seamless. I could work out, I could run, I could dance, I could do anything. It's fun, it's beautiful, it's supportive.
Free 30-day returns. Shop now at honeylove.com. Whether you're a professional driver or just a fan, vehicle breakdowns are costly.
It started tugging.
It started making some really weird noises. The last thing I remember is just the engine cut out.
If your check engine light comes on tomorrow, the repair could easily cost thousands.
Is that transmission?
It's an exhaust leak.
Broken axle.
But with Endurance, you could never pay out of pocket for a costly repair again.
They covered a $14,000 engine replacement.
I had a seat sensor that went out, $1,400. Endurance paid it.
We got a brand new transmission, and we never seen the repair bill.
Use any certified mechanic you want. Just bring your car in, and Endurance will pay them direct. All major parts are covered.
What I like about Endurance, they don't play games, there's no middleman. They're a solid company.
If I didn't have Endurance, I would have paid over $7,000 out of pocket to repair my vehicle.
Something is going to break down. Make Endurance pay for it.
One claim alone saved me more than $4,000. I've had 5 claims, and that is $3,500 that I've kept in my pocket.
So, who's going to pay for your next car repair? You or Endurance?
Call right now to get $300 off any plan, plus a full year of our top-tier elite benefits, a $2,000 value free. And all Endurance plans come with a 30-day money-back guarantee. But you have to act now.
Diaper rash sucks, baby. So we made a new diaper. Huggies Skin Essentials diaper helps protect your skin from ick and stick that can cause rash. So you're free to baby on. Huggies Skin Essentials. We got you, baby.
Have you had your Hershey's?
Well, there's not a lot of rain falling across the U.S. right now. The Central Plains could see some storms that could get pretty feisty around dinner time with some severe weather threat. But for the rest of us, not a drop of rain is in sight. Not only is it dry, it's also really warm, and in some cases just flat out hot. And with the mercury rising, we can see some of those temperature records fall. You've got this warm weather, Molly. You've got this in your sights. Tell us what you got.
You know, I kind of got used to the cold weather last week.
You know what? It did. It reminded us that winter's not far away, but then this happened.
it was just nice for it to feel like the actual season that we're supposed to be in. Now it's going to be a bit different for so many of us as we soar back to many record highs in a lot of places. It's not just confined to the South, like, say, Texas, but this goes all the way through the Mid-South. We've got the Great Lakes in play for some record highs, as well as the Northeast, up even into New England, where there were some higher elevations just last week that we're seeing snow. Now this is a big pattern change, and 70s and 80s, a lot of what we're expecting as we get into the afternoon. The mornings are still a little bit on the crisp side. We've got 62 though in New York. What were you saying, Dr. Postel?
65 in Minneapolis now?
Yeah, right now.
Holy cow.
And look at New York City, 62 right now. So that's how you know it's going to be a pretty warm afternoon as we head into 83 in the Twin Cities as we get into this afternoon. 81 Chicago, 83 for you in Sioux City. And that means that we are well above average. In a lot of places, we're in that record-breaking territory. Burlington, we could tie a record today with 76. That is the previous record, 76. Tomorrow, even warmer for a lot of places, like, say, Dallas. Look at this as we climb to near 90. Also going to be near 90 in OKC, but check out Tulsa, Oklahoma, likely to hit that 90-degree mark, and that means you're going to smash that old record, 88. That was set back in 1963. So we're flirting with some very old records here that have been in place for quite some time. There is a cold front that's going to move through. That's going to happen Wednesday into Thursday, but this is not going to be like the last cold front that passed through that really allowed temperatures to plummet. We even had a reinforcing cold front behind that. That is not this pattern. This is really just going to bring a lot of us back down close to average, with a few pockets, say, around the Buffalo area where we could get to just slightly below average. But for many of us, this is just going to bring the temperatures down a notch. Will it have any rain with it? Not a whole lot. This is not really a rain-producing cold front. Say if you're up in Canada, different story. We've even got some snow in the backside of this, but at very least, we will see some showers in the UP of Michigan. Well, heavy rain over dry ground is a dangerous combination, and that can lead to flash flooding. Coming up, Jim Cantore learns firsthand what to do when the waters start to rise.
Well, you know, we can't close the door on the tropics just yet. There is actually a tropical storm out there that is Oscar. In fact, over the weekend, it was a hurricane that made landfall in Cuba. It is the only encircled entity out there, which is good news, a sign that the tropics are beginning to wind down, but we're not done yet. You can get development in November in places that have not been affected so much by cold fronts and drier and more stable air, which for many of us has already been into parts of the southeastern U.S. and nearby waters of the Gulf of Mexico and Atlantic. That's good news. But Oscar is still out there, and the question is, where is it going to go? Thankfully, it is weaker. Unfortunately, it has delivered a lot of rain to parts of, let's say, eastern Cuba, no doubt about that. And it is really now, I think, on its last legs. When you look at the satellite pictures, you can sort of get a sense that it is now starting to feel the wind shear that we thought all along. Even the middle of last week, we felt like Oscar was not going to make it to the U.S. because of some strong wind aloft that was going to be protecting us, and yet eventually leading to Oscar's demise. And you can see that stretched out cloud pattern as an evidence of that very process ongoing in front of your eyes. Have a look at this jet stream that is now in place there. Fierce winds aloft, characteristic of a late October calendar, and you can see those winds aloft are now starting to shred Oscar to pieces, and it will eventually do so as it moves off into the North Atlantic. No way this is going to get anywhere near the U.S., certainly any closer than it is already, as is reflected by the cone from the National Hurricane Center. Now, it could move through the Turks and Caicos, very likely will, with some squally weather, but certainly nothing we can't handle with some wind gusts not into that hurricane force range by any means. But let's track us now going forward from today through tomorrow through the end of the week. I don't see tropical development taking place through the rest of this week and even into next weekend, with another big old stable high pressure anchoring itself in the eastern U.S. We'll be right back.
I keep my protection against COVID-19 up to date with a COVID shot this season.
You can get your COVID-19 shot when getting your flu shot if you're due for both, as recommended by the CDC. Ask your healthcare provider and book at VaxAssist.com.
You'll find them in cities, towns, and suburbs all across America. Millions of Americans who have Medicare and Medicaid but may be missing benefits they could really use. Extra benefits they may be eligible to receive at no extra cost. And if you have Medicare and Medicaid, you may be able to get extra benefits too through a Humana Medicare Advantage dual eligible special needs plan. Call now to see if there's a plan in your area and to see if you qualify. With the Humana Medicare Advantage dual eligible special needs plan, you could have doctor, hospital, and prescription drug coverage in one convenient plan. Plus, most plans include the Humana Healthy Options Allowance, your allowance to help pay for essentials like eligible groceries, utilities, and rent, even over-the-counter items like vitamins, pain relievers, first aid supplies, and more. Your allowance is conveniently loaded onto a prepaid card each month. And whatever you don't spend gets carried over to the next month. Plus, with the Humana Medicare Advantage dual eligible special needs plan, you could get other important benefits. Most plans include dental coverage with $0 copays for covered preventive services, vision coverage, including eye exams, and a yearly allowance for eyeglasses or contact lenses. Even hearing benefits with routine hearing exams and coverage toward hearing aids. And you could pay nothing for covered prescriptions, even brand name ones, all year long. You'll also get $0 copays for routine vaccines at in-network retail pharmacies and $0 copays for telehealth visits. Best of all, if you have Medicare and Medicaid, you may be eligible to enroll in a Humana Medicare Advantage dual eligible special needs plan right now. So call now to see if there's a plan in your area and to see if you qualify. Imagine one convenient plan with doctor, hospital, and prescription drug coverage that may include extra benefits, like the Humana Healthy Options Allowance, to help pay for eligible essentials like groceries, utilities, rent, over-the-counter items, and more. There could be no cost for covered prescriptions and coverage for routine dental, vision, even hearing, plus $0 copays for routine vaccines and telehealth visits. And you'll have access to Humana's multiple large plan networks of doctors, hospitals, and pharmacies. So if you have Medicare and Medicaid, call now to see if there's a plan in your area that could give you extra benefits, including a monthly allowance to help pay for eligible essentials. Plus, there could be no cost for covered prescriptions and coverage for routine dental, vision, even hearing. So call now and let a knowledgeable licensed Humana sales agent explain your coverage options and, if you're eligible, help you enroll over the phone. It's that easy. Call today and we'll also send this free guide. But now is the time. The annual enrollment period ends December 7th. Humana, a more human way to health care.
Here's to getting better with age.
Here's to beating these two every Thursday. Help fuel today with Boost High Protein. Complete nutrition you need and the flavor you love. So here's to now. Now available Boost Max.
This is the damage near the Spring River. You see the tree uprooted. You see, just took out fences everywhere. Tables, look at the car, upside down. Our convention center is ruined. Here's our river. I don't know that I've ever seen it have this much water in my entire life, ever.
Well, people in Roswell, New Mexico, getting their first look at the damage left behind this weekend's flash flooding. At least 2 people were killed and nearly 300 rescued after heavy rain swamped the city on Saturday night.
A record-breaking 5.79 inches of rain recorded at the airport in a 24-hour period, and that breaks the previous record set back, get this, all the way in 1901. And if you're thinking, okay, 5, almost 6 inches of rain, that's not that much. It is in a place like Roswell, New Mexico.
Yeah, and you have to have unfortunately, the perfect set of meteorological circumstances to get that kind of rainfall. And we had that. Some of the moisture was coming in from Nadine, which was a tropical cyclone that made landfall in Mexico. And there was an upper level low in the jet stream as well. Both those combined to bring us to heavy rain.
And so thankfully things have quieted down a lot since then. We're going to see several days now of some very quiet, warm weather, and that's great for recovery. But my goodness, what a wild 48 hours that was.
It is amazing. And you see the rainfall patterns running over the same locations over and over again, defined as training.
So you think about, train tracks and the trains that follow the same tracks over and over again. That's exactly what happens in these kind of events where you just see the same areas getting the rain over and over and over again, and that really adds up very quickly.
And you can see it was kind of in a narrow path, a narrow track of very heavy rainfall, over 7 inches of rain in some cases over the weekend. Remarkable stuff for New Mexico.
It really is. And as mentioned, we're going to see some quiet weather for recovery. You see 7 people were rescued in those high waters, and it was many, many more than that. It was very busy with some of those swift water and high water rescues over the weekend.
Yep, and the radar returns right now, improving weather over New Mexico, but that very same weather system is now bringing some thunderstorms to Kansas, our old stomping grounds.
Stomping grounds in Kansas there, so the storms can get feisty, not just in the springtime, but this is secondary severe weather season, and storms can be pretty strong this time of year.
And we have that for today. So just remember, flooding overall, in general, is not just a problem here at home, but overseas as well. Check out this monstrous wave that drenched streets in France.
The water splashing onlookers and washing over cars yesterday. Western France was under a yellow alert, and that is the 3rd highest warning level for strong waves, and there's more possible today.
Flash flooding can happen really fast, and water can knock you off your feet quicker than you can react.
So what do you do if you find yourself being washed away? Meteorologist Jim Cantore went straight to the experts to find out.
While working with Jim today, the first thing we taught him is what to do if I accidentally fall in.
The first thing I had to do was float on my back with my feet out of the water. You never want to get your feet caught in the rock. Once I'm comfortable enough there, I would roll over and just swim aggressively towards shore.
Get out! You have to stay calm because you want all your movements to be purposeful. If you're out there thrashing, splashing about, you're not accomplishing anything.
You're gonna live today, Jim.
One of the scenarios we did with Jim today as well is we put him on a rock. He's stranded on an object. It could have been a car, it could have been a house.
I had to holler and let the rescuer know where I was.
Throw me the rope, throw me the rope.
I was in a position where I wasn't going to lunge for it.
Great shot.
And then I put the rope over my shoulder.
And then he ferried across, swimming with assistance of the rescuer.
Good job, buddy.
The third scenario we had Jim in today is called a live bait rescue. It's a rescuer on a rope tether.
We know we see rescuers downstream. We have to get down to them. We went about a quarter of a mile down the river. And it's amazing how fast you get down that river.
All right, guys, I'm about to be rescued here. They're going to be pulling me from the water. I've got you. I've got you. Let me hold on to you. I've got you.
Survivors always need to follow the instructions of the rescuer. Once the rescuer has their hands on them, they have to let us be in charge.
The number one thing that I walked away from today is that you absolutely have to work this river. I can tell you one thing, after going through this today, I think I could get through a flash flood.
Well, stay safe no matter the conditions with the TWC streaming app. It is your home for alerts and changes to the conditions that could impact your plans. You can go to streamtwc.com to get it for Roku, Amazon Fire, and Google TV.
Well, blue skies and colorful leaves. It looks like fall. That's the one thing we don't see ahead on American Morning Headquarters. We'll talk about that, but look at this view. We're going to leave you with this. Molly, what do you think about this? How about that glistening of the cirrus clouds with the, I think it's a setting sun, but I'm not sure.
It's really nice, but you see some color right there for the trees. It's hard to tell because obviously it's a little bit darker outside, but I think what's missing is the fact that it doesn't really feel like fall, and it won't for so many this week.
Yeah, with warm temperatures, it's almost summer-like. As we mentioned, Minneapolis, Minnesota this morning, waking up to 65 degrees.
And tomorrow likely to be in the 60s as well. Where's fall?
Rinse it out. Every now and then I get a little bit tired of the stinks that just will never come out. Pouring out in the rinse shade. Every now and then I rinse it out.
Fights odor in just one wash.
Pet owners know the struggle. Your best bud can track all sorts of gunk indoors. Now there's a simple solution. It's Muddy Mat, the anti-mud mat that keeps your dog's paws clean before they make a mess inside. Use Muddy Mat under your pet's food dish, in the bathroom, even catch spills in the kitchen. Call or go online to order your Muddy Mat right away. Through this introductory offer, order 2 and get 1 free for only $24.95 each.
Thinking about retirement? Would you like to have retirement income that you can count on for the rest of your life? How about up to 33% more income? Call this number to get this free book, Annuity Do's and Don'ts for Baby Boomers. This book is filled with valuable information, uncovering little-known secrets to help you maximize your income in retirement. And it's free. Retirement income you can count on starts by calling for this free book. As a bonus, we'll also rush this annuity rate report, also absolutely free. Annuity National researched numerous products and summarized the rates and benefits of annuities from foremost insurance companies like Nassau Life and Annuity. Call for both these free books. Annuity National, retirement income you can count on for the rest of your life. Call now.
For your free books, call 800-921-7776. That's 800-921-7776. 800-921-7776.
Here's to getting better with age.
Here's to beating these two every Thursday. Help fuel today with Boost High Protein. Complete nutrition you need and the flavor you love. So here's to now. Now available Boost Max.
To me, Harlem is home. But home is also your body.
Last one, everyone.
I asked myself, why doesn't Pilates exist in Harlem? So I started my own studio. Getting a brick and mortar in New York is not easy. Chase Inc. has supported us from Studio 1 to Studio 3. When you start small, you need some big help, and Chase Inc. was that for me.
Earn up to 5% cash back on business essentials with the Chase Inc. Business Cash Card from Chase for Business. Make more.
For years, I just dreaded going to the dentist. But at Advanced Dentistry, I don't have to. First and foremost, they want you to feel comfortable when you walk in. Like, you'll feel it. Whereas in the past, I might have gone into the dentist and thinking, I might feel some pain at some point. But with IV sedation, it can be something that you don't dread.
If you've been avoiding the dentist because of fear, worry, or just not wanting to be judged, you're not alone. Visit NoFearDentist.com to learn how IV sedation can change your life.
With Chevy trucks, be ready for adventure. With power you can count on. Capability that doesn't compromise. A hard-working EV with more range than any competitor and the potential to take you anywhere. It's Chevy truck season. Get 0% financing plus make no monthly payments for 90 days on all 2024 Silverado 1500 pickups. Chevrolet, together let's drive.
When the sun goes down, the danger level just skyrockets.
Relive the most unpredictable and jaw-dropping moments from those that experienced it.
With winds that strong, that fire was going to be basically impossible to stop.
Wild Weather Week begins tonight at 8 on the Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 52 degrees under sunny skies. Today, sunny, very warm. High 79. Winds south-southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, generally clear. Low 45. Winds light and variable. Tuesday, sunshine, very warm. High 80. Winds south at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Dry conditions have helped fuel fire threats in the central U.S. In Butler County, Nebraska, emergency crews battled several wildfires, including this one that forced farmers to move their equipment to safer ground. Many were warned not to park hot machinery on tall grass, as that could spark more flames. Another fire threatened a power plant in Gage County, forcing about 100 workers to leave before it was contained. Wow, with 3 weeks with no measurable rain, that's a really long stretch. How about this? Both New York and Atlanta are that dry. Remarkable stuff. No rain in 3 weeks. Plus, And there's also no rain on the horizon. So if you add it up, right, let's start with Atlanta. It's going to be the low 80s today, very likely in Atlanta. That's not that unusual for late October, warmer than average for sure. But what is stunning is the lack of rain we've seen in Atlanta. 21 days so far without any rain. That means the entire month of October so far has not seen rain in Atlanta. And the forecast going forward, I can tell you, through the end of the month is really not showing any rain either. This may be the first time on record Atlanta has not seen rain in the month of October. That is stunning, but it's not just Atlanta. There are many of us across the rest of the country that have seen incredibly dry conditions. Not everywhere, I might add. We've seen a lot of rain in parts of the southeast, especially last month with the landfalling tropical systems. Remember, with Helene moving through? And also we've seen a lot of rain in just the last couple days in some localized areas in eastern New Mexico and Colorado. That's great and good, and in some cases it was way, way, way too much rain. But the vast majority of us are dealing with exceptionally dry conditions, in particular in the upper Midwest. I mentioned Atlanta. Well, how about Minneapolis? This is the driest start on record for the fall, which began meteorologically September 1st. So we are dealing with incredibly dry conditions in many areas of the Great Lakes and Midwest. And putting into forecast mode, are we going to get any rain? Are we going to get a break from this incredibly dry pattern for parts of the country? Not really. If you animate this forecast out, which is going through the end of this week, yes, we have some jet stream fast winds aloft moving through, but they're not capturing the water vapor that's required to produce a lot of rain. So these jet stream disturbances that are moving through are basically not bringing a whole lot of weather with them. And if you add up the rain through midweek, slim pickings from most everywhere. Yes, we're going to see some in Kansas and parts of Nebraska likely today. Maybe some severe weather. But the vast majority of the rest of us, not a drop of rain is coming our way. And in the Northeast, we need it. How about this? New York, the driest on record so far, start to the fall. Again, starting us off September 1st. So since then, this has been one for the record books in terms of lack of rainfall. Here we go. With a warm and dry spell in New York, 21 days so far, like Atlanta. No rain so far in the month of October, and very little, if any, expected through the rest of the month. Molly, this is definitely an October to remember, and not in a good way.
Hopefully we get some rain soon, but let's take you to Athens, Georgia, where Georgia fans are soaking up the weekend victory as they travel back to Athens after beating the Texas Longhorns on the road. Dr. Postel, did you watch that game?
I did, and I was thinking of you the whole time. I'm thinking, I know Molly's cheering.
What about our favorite Texas Longhorns fan?
Paul Goodloe?
Paul Goodloe.
Paul Goodloe was like, yeah, kicking stones. He was not happy about that. But I know you were smiling over him.
I have not seen him yet. I will be as nice as I possibly can, knowing that he would not be nice in return if it was.
Yeah, he's pretty much an insufferable Longhorn fan.
But we have nice weather here in Athens. It's actually been really nice, but as Dr. Postel was talking about, it has also been very, very dry. Not only in Atlanta, but a lot of North Georgia. We've got some temperatures in the high 70s. Well, let's take you to New York right now, New York City. Beware of these petrifying pups. Check out some of the costumes from New York's annual Halloween dog parade. From the big dogs to the teeny Halloweener dogs. I love that. The little weenie dogs, right? The furry friends showed out for the celebration on Saturday. Some really great costumes there. Always a lot of creativity. You can see we've got Scooby-Doo there. We've got, you know, Star Wars. We've just got all of the dogs decked out. You can see the Olympics there and some Beetlejuice. I know it's going to be popular this year. We've got some great travel weather, too. So, yes, we could really use the rain. But in a lot of places, it's making for nice fall travel, especially by air. We're not seeing any big delays at many of our airports, especially right now. As we start off this morning, most of us are dry. But as we get later into the afternoon, could we see some troubles at, say, SeaTac? That's certainly a possibility, and that would mainly be from wind. There is some rain that's going to be moving into. That's from Seattle all the way down to the Medford area along the 5 corridor. That'll really slow you down travel-wise. And here's something else that could slow you down, and that is how strong the winds are going to be across the upper Midwest, even down into the Central Plains. Wichita, heads up Salina, heads up Kansas City. You have some storms that will be rolling through this afternoon and overnight.
Looks like you deserve both. See ya, boys.
We need a small business loan fast.
I got this.
Loan cannon!
There's a better way to get a fast small business loan. Go to OnDeck.com, and if approved, get your funds as soon as the same day. Your loan is on deck.
What will you do when the power goes out? Power outages can be unpredictable and inconvenient, but with a Generac home standby generator, your life goes on uninterrupted because you'll have power when you need it the most.
The number one thing to prepare for is extended power outages. Don't make it so hard on yourself. Have a Generac home standby generator.
And special financing and low monthly payment options are available. Call or go online now to request your free quote. Power your life with Generac.
Listen, I might not be a relationship expert, but I do have some hacks. They say, Lauren, what's the secret to a long, sustained relationship? It's Blue Chew. Blue Chews. Blue Chew? Blue Chew. Blue Chew. Blue Chew. Blue Chew. Blue Chew, baby! Blue Chew is an online subscription-based service that sends these affordable tablets directly to your home. No one even has to know. Except for me. But I'm not going to tell you.
Did you know that your Medicare Advantage plan coverage may be changing? Which means you could be paying more for your Medicare Advantage plan and getting less. How do you protect yourself and try to get the plan that's giving you the most for your money? Call GoHealth. At GoHealth, we've been voted one of the most trustworthy companies in America by Newsweek and helped over 10 million Americans shop for the Medicare plan that's right for them.
I ended up with more than expected.
They helped me find a policy with a lower premium and more benefits.
Researching and comparing all the various Medicare plan options available can be exhausting and time-consuming. Don't do it yourself. Call GoHealth. Tell us what your needs and priorities are. The call is free. Our service is free. Protect yourself. Get the right Medicare Advantage plan for you at a price you can afford.
Call 800-951-6057 or go to gohealth.com now.
My back got injured very bad. I was off work for about a year. I heard about Relief Factor from my wife. I took it every day, 3 times a day for 3 weeks. Look at her and I said, the pain is gone. And she said, I'm glad it helped. I said, no, you don't understand. It's gone.
You too can feel better every day with Relief Factor, a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Call or go online now for our 3-week quick start, just $19.95.
You won't remember my name. This is the last time you will see me at the top. I want to carry on, but not today. This is the point I give up, but not today. I want to carry on. You will see me at the top. This is the last time you won't remember my name.
Deadly flooding versus an extended dry stretch for millions. A pair of problems split the U.S. as people look toward the final days of October.
While there may be an end in sight for one threat, the other brings a host of concerns as fall gets into full swing.
Well, we're here to get you ready for what's ahead on your day today.
From coast to coast, the Weather Channel has you covered. Now, rain is coming down in a few spots, but not where we need it the most. There's a lot of us that have been very dry throughout the month of October, but it is providing some relief for those recovering after 2 landfalling hurricanes in the last month. So it is dry right now where we need it to be dry.
Yeah, there's a couple of stories here. Some places have seen way too much rain, and of course the flooding associated with that. But the vast majority of us have seen almost none, and that's breaking its own records.
Right. There's some really impressive stats coming out about how dry it's been. And, you know, we don't need to tell you that. You know that it hasn't rained recently in many places, Atlanta being one of those spots. It is just a very impressive dry streak right now. But it's also been fairly chilly in the morning, and that extends up into western North Carolina, where the recovery has been ongoing. That chill is now going away.
It's characteristic of a dry air mass.
It is.
One without rain oftentimes gets cold at night.
So we're going to see a big warm up underneath this area of high pressure, and it's going to be pretty persistent for many of us. Now, how warm is it going to be? Likely breaking records in many places. We're not just talking about the South. We're talking about places that typically do see some cooler weather this time of year that extends up into the upper Midwest and into parts of New England. Now, this is temperatures right now. This is the number that was impressing Dr. Postel earlier today. It's now 66 in Minneapolis. Now, their morning average lows this time of year are in the 30s. And what were you saying, Dr. Postel? This is more than what they typically see even in the summer.
This is a warmer overnight low than you typically see in midsummer.
Incredible. And they're going to be in the 60s again tomorrow. How's that for a very warm pattern? And in fact, we've got Washington, D.C. in the 60s, New York in the 60s right now, even Portland, Maine in the 60s to near 70. It's a lot cooler in places like Nashville. We're only in the 50s. But look where we're going to end up this afternoon. Twin Cities, 80s, Kansas City expecting some storms today. So watch out for those after dark, but also going to see temperatures well into the 80s this afternoon. Now let's talk about some of those records because we are either going to be approaching records or breaking records in a lot of these places. Burlington, Vermont being one of those places where we could tie a record, and then we go into Michigan and Maine where we are very likely going to break records today. It's not just today, it's also tomorrow. So here's what we're looking at tomorrow, starting at once again in this 60s in Minneapolis, but instead of going all the way up into the 80s, we're going to top out in the mid 70s. That's a little bit of a change, and that's the start of our cold front that's going to be moving through. Then we take you into Texas and parts of Oklahoma. Tulsa is going to reach the 90s tomorrow, and that would break the old record set back in 1963. So these are some very old records on the list, with the exception being Springfield. That last record was in 2020. But let's take you through this cold front, because this is not going to be like the cold front we saw last week, where we saw temperatures falling, plummeting behind this cold front. No, really what this is going to do is it's just going to bring us back down to average in many places. And even behind that, we're going to see a quick rebound back up into above average. So this cold front, Dr. Postel, is not like the others, and it's not going to bring many places rain either. And I know that's what you're going to pick up here.
Yeah, we need the rain in the Northeast, Molly. You're right about that. And that cold front is really not going to help out. It may bring the temperatures down, but come with it very little, if any, even cloud cover for that matter. So let's have a look nationally about where we stand in terms of drought. Most of the country, believe it or not, has some level of drought. Now, some of it more than others, and some places none at all. But those places that don't have any drought are few and far between, essentially, because, yes, we've had significant rainfall events in the Southeast. We know that, with recent hurricanes, Helene in particular, coming back last month, bringing, unfortunately, way too much rain in parts of the Southeast. We've also had, just this weekend, a whole lot of rain in some localized places in New Mexico and parts of Colorado. But in the bigger picture, the drought monitor is telling us that overall it's been very dry for the vast majority of the lower 48. And in particular, in the upper Midwest, we are starting off fall in the driest we've seen it in the record books. How about this? Minneapolis ranking #1, Fargo #1, Bismarck, Valentine #1. So many locations here in the region are seeing their driest start to the fall on record. Now, starting fall beginning September 1st, meteorologically speaking. So it's been almost 2 months where we've seen very little, if any, rainfall in some of these locations. Let's move it forward in the forecast mode and ask ourselves the question, are we going to make a dent in that drought? Are we going to make some rain, at least a little bit, to some of these locations, let's say in the upper Midwest? Probably not. A little bit, maybe. That upper level low that's over Colorado right now and Kansas, not likely to bring a whole lot of rain. And while we have some jet stream disturbances moving through, if you look at this forecast going just through the next 3 or 4 days, slim pickings in terms of rainfall. Here's the amount of rain that some of the models are picking up on through, let's say, Thursday. Yes, some out in here in Kansas and Nebraska, but in, essentially speaking, a localized region. Many in the Southeast and in the Northeast are not going to see any rain in the next several days. And that is compounding the problem that it has been so dry of late. You can see even that. New York, LaGuardia, the driest start to fall on record. Molly.
2 people were killed in dangerous flash flooding over the weekend in Roswell, New Mexico. The Spring River Channel, it overflowed, and streets in the city's downtown filled with water. Drivers got stuck, many waiting on the tops of their cars to be rescued. Homes and buildings were also flooded. The rain has stopped in New Mexico. The water has receded, but this system is now moving into the Central Plains, bringing more than just the flash flooding threat with it. We're talking the chance for severe weather. Now, what happened in New Mexico, really you have to have everything come together atmospherically just right to see that amount of rain in this part of the world. But unfortunately, that's what happened over the weekend. Now we have some dry weather to recover, some cooler mornings on the way, and some warm afternoons, but no rain in sight, and that is good for recovery. Let's follow the system as it moves to the east, now across the plains. And this is going to be, I think, the primary threat for many of us is going to be the hail. We can get severe weather this time of year, especially in the plains. It is a secondary severe weather season. The threat today extends from Nebraska all the way down into the Texas Panhandle, where we've already had severe thunderstorm warnings this morning. Watch as this line continues to make progress to the east. Even by early this afternoon, this is 1 p.m., we could have some strong storms in north central Kansas across the I-70 corridor. But then this extends into areas like Wichita. This is right around that 5 p.m., 6 p.m. hour when people are trying to get home from work. They're trying to get the kids to afternoon and evening activities. And it even extends all the way through about 8, 9 p.m. with another line that's going to be passing through. Kansas City, the timing for you is going to be later in the evening and mainly through the overnight hours. But this entire system is going to lose a little bit of its punch as far as the danger that it's going to bring to areas like Kansas City by the time it rolls through. Well, flash floods can cause serious damage and put you in danger. Coming up, Jim Cantore gets in rushing waters to learn how to survive. The 3 things we need to know at 40 past the hour.
Well, not 1, but 2 storms were named on Saturday. Tropical Storm Nadine and Hurricane Oscar. Oscar crashed into Cuba yesterday as a Category 1 hurricane after hitting the Bahamas earlier in the day. And as for Nadine, it spent 12 hours as a tropical storm, bringing heavy rain and tropical storm conditions to parts of Belize and the Yucatan Peninsula. Caused some street flooding as it crossed Mexico. So yeah, we've got some tropical activity ongoing, and that's no surprise at the last third of October, especially in the deep tropics. And I mean by that, the Caribbean, Central America, Mexico. It is not that unusual to see landfall or at least hurricane impacts this time of year. But for the rest of us, we're looking better and better every day. We don't have that much of the hurricane season yet to go, 10% roughly, statistically, that we see tropical development take place through the end of November. So 90% of the hurricane season is over, thankfully, and only a little bit left. But as I mentioned, there are still parts of the tropics that have yet to really be influenced and impacted by the cold fronts and the cooler and drier and more stable air that protects the rest of us normally this time of year. And what I mean by that? Well, much of the Gulf of Mexico and eastern U.S. Now we've seen several fronts move off the coast and bring more stable air into the region. That is not the case over the deep tropics in this region, where even this time of year and even in the middle of winter, fronts don't really get there. And so it remains summer-like and hot and humid and thunderstormy. So yes, it's no surprise that we see tropical development from time to time, even now in this region. And we have a tropical storm, as I mentioned, still ongoing. Made landfall in Cuba, eastern Cuba, yesterday as a hurricane. That's Oscar. But thankfully, it's weakened, unfortunately bringing a lot of heavy rain to parts of Cuba and areas nearby. A 45-mile-per-hour tropical storm, not likely to get any stronger and not likely at all to come closer to the U.S. That's good news. And you can almost tell that would be the case just by looking at the satellite pictures. They can tell a compelling story like this one. And it may not look like much. It's still producing heavy rain, of course, Oscar is. But the fact that the cloud pattern is now being stretched out from northeast to southwest, this is exactly what the models were telling us a week ago. Yes, Oscar might come close, but not any closer than it is now, thanks in part to this. Very strong winds aloft. Now, strong wind shear in place over the southeastern U.S., characteristic of the October atmosphere over the region. Fast winds aloft are not going to allow Oscar to get anywhere near us, and it is likely to remain well off the coast of the southeast. But could still bring some impacts to parts of the Turks and Caicos, maybe parts of the Bahamas, with some squally weather, but nothing we can't handle as Oscar zips on out. Real quick, last graphic to show you where Oscar goes. Well, east of the U.S., maybe some big surf along the coast. That would be about it. But even next weekend, Molly, I see a big old fat high pressure over the northeastern U.S., protecting once again the southeast from tropical activity with cooler, drier, and more stable air in place. Good news there.
And that is what we like to hear. Well, communities across southeast Florida are still picking up the pieces following Hurricane Milton's violent tornado outbreak. Entire homes and businesses were completely wiped out. We spoke with a store owner as he sifted through the piles of debris in Fort Pierce.
I own the convenience store and gas station for 19 years. I just come in to board the store like around 5 o'clock. The guy neighbor, they call me like some tornado blown up my store. And then I come in here and I see all these things happen, you know. Everything is blown away. It was a big mess, everything. All this, and the glasses, everything was here. And this thing I never seen in my lifetime like that. I see a lot of hurricane damage, nothing compared to this. Of course, it's upset, you know, because I survive from this business, you know. I make money from here, so if my business is gone, definitely it's sad, but what can I do, you know? It's gonna take like almost 3-4 months to get back if it's possible, you know? So there's a lot of things getting out of date. We're just putting as much as we can save, you know? You know, I have insurance, but I don't have the flood coverage, so we're not gonna get nothing from them. You know, what can I do? You know, it's a natural thing step to get accepted, you know. We can do nothing about it, you know. Talk to my landlord, but they have their insurance. You know, they're gonna get money for the building. So, you know, they say as soon as if they got money, they're gonna rebuild the building for me. So I can, as soon as they finish, you know, the building, they can start running a business. That's what I'm hoping. I don't know how long it's going to take. Whatever has happened, we have to accept it, you know. It's a natural disaster, so what I can do.
For the areas still recovering, of course, from not only Milton, but also Helene, we have a stretch of dry weather that's upcoming. That does not include today in Fort Pierce. There could be a chance for a few showers, but once we get past today, then we start to see a much drier and much warmer pattern take over. We've got 70s in the morning and 80s in the afternoon. It's not just Florida, it is also Western North Carolina, Eastern Tennessee, still recovering from what Helene left behind with the catastrophic flooding. And here's the good news in Western North Carolina, especially at those higher elevations, which got very, very cold last week in the 20s and 30s. Now we're seeing much warmer weather. Of course, very dangerous when you don't have power still, and many don't have the opportunity to get heat on those very cold mornings. We've got 70s in the afternoon, a lot of sunshine, not just across, say, Western North Carolina, but look at the entire southeast as a whole. We've got a lot of really nice dry weather on the way. Now, some areas really could use the rain, but definitely not in those spots that are still recovering. Let's go right along the coast now, the Atlantic coast, from, say, Charleston all the way down into Daytona Beach in the Jacksonville area. There's a lot of coastal flood advisories and warnings out. This is not because we're watching a system move through. We've got onshore flow in combination with king tides. Now, king tides, that's the alignment of the sun, the moon, and the earth, and that brings those high tide levels up just a little bit higher than what they usually are. We can see what's called sunny day flooding. That's very present in a place like Charleston. That's what we're going to be seeing over the next couple of days. We see that strong onshore flow, some of those wind gusts at times 30, maybe even 35 miles per hour, reaching into the 30s up and down the Atlantic coast, even parts of the Gulf Coast seeing those stronger winds, but you have an offshore flow. And Oscar is going to be moving by what's left of Oscar, nowhere close to the Atlantic coast, but still churning up some big waves and some rough surf, which could bring those high tide levels, once again, just a little bit higher. So there's our high tide in Jacksonville. It's at 2:07 p.m. Just be careful around some of those coastal roadways or some of those those roadways that are right next to, say, maybe the St. Johns River. And the next high tide after that is at 2:25 a.m. So at least it's happening through the overnight hours. We'll be right back.
Feeling from a backed up gut?
Relax works naturally with the water in your body to help you go. Free your gut and your mood will follow. For 8 grams of fiber, try Mirror Fiber Gummies.
This bakery needs new equipment fast to keep up with demand. So they're going to OnDeck, the online lender that makes it easy to choose your loan and if approved, get funds as soon as the same day. Your loan is on deck.
Consumer Cellular.
My son got me your new Iris Ally medical alert device. Been telling everyone.
Did you tell them it uses Consumer Cellular's reliable nationwide network so you're just one touch away from help?
Sure did.
Plus fall detection and GPS tracking?
Yep.
And all that peace of mind is just $25 a month for service.
More money for dog treats.
Visit consumercellular.com/ally or call 800-470-4043 for the new Iris Ally.
If your car's out of warranty, your next breakdown could cost thousands, unless you have Endurance.
They covered a $14,000 engine replacement.
Just 2 claims saved us over $1,700.
I've had 5 claims, and that is $3,500 that I've kept in my pocket.
So, who's going to pay for your next car repair? You or Endurance?
Call right now to get $300 off any plan. Call 1-833-415-4646 now.
All right, we're done.
We're not done.
You need more boxes.
Fast.
I can fix that fast.
Fast fixes with Phelps.
That's why you're the GOAT.
Mr. Swimming.
Human dolphin.
Or Michael.
Delivery at the speed you need.
Unlike other bags, only a Ziploc freezer bag features our exclusive 9 points of protection that helps protect your mom's pozole from leaks and blowouts. SC Johnson.
This guy can't shoot. He's got weak arms.
How do you sleep at night?
On a mattress from Mattress Firm. So I sleep.
Upgrade your sleep with up to $600 off top brands, plus a free adjustable base. Get matched at Mattress Firm. Sleep at night.
HCM is a serious heart condition affecting as many as 1 in 200 people. Like me.
And me. I was still short of breath on my beta blocker.
So I talked to my cardiologist.
And asked about treatment advances in HCM.
That talk made a real difference.
It gave me new hope.
Talk to your cardiologist today. Visit hcmrealtalk.com to learn more.
Trick or treat! Kit Kat Reese's!
Oh, great costume. Looks like you deserve both. See ya, boys.
The Weather Channel TV app is keeping you ahead of the storm all hurricane season. Our goal is to keep people safe. Start your free trial and be prepared all season.
One was a great year. Prices were low, technology was king, and Columbus Door Sales opened, providing reliable service and the latest technology in the industry. Nearly 60 years later, Columbus Door Sales continues to offer our customers fast, friendly service, and still using the latest technology to help you pick out the perfect garage door. Integrity, value, experience. That's Columbus Door Sales.
With Chevy trucks, be ready for adventure. With power you can count on. Capability that doesn't compromise. A hard-working EV with more range than any competitor and the potential to take you anywhere. It's Chevy truck season. Get 0% financing plus make no monthly payments for 90 days on all 2024 Silverado 1500 pickups. Chevrolet, together let's drive.
Currently in our area, 55 degrees under sunny skies. Today, abundant sunshine, very warm, high 78, winds light and variable. Tonight, mostly clear, low 45, winds light and variable. Tuesday, sunshine, very warm, high 80, winds south at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
sun goes down, the danger level just skyrockets.
Witness the most awe-inspiring weather from around the world.
I hear this sound that's like a freight train.
Relive the most unpredictable and jaw-dropping moments from those that experienced it.
With winds that strong, that fire was going to be basically impossible to stop.
Wild Weather Week begins tonight at 8 on the Weather Channel.
Well, winter is showing up in full force in the Rockies. Higher elevations of Colorado getting blanketed with snow. But don't break out the skis and the snowboards just yet. Both Vail and Copper Mountain don't open their ski season until early November. But those are some great shots. How about that live Copper Mountain 28? Looks like some moderate snow in the region. Vail over 41. Well, we're still seeing some snow at the higher elevations. Evergreen, that to me looks like a mixture of rain and snow. Roads are wet there, so temperature probably at or slightly above freezing. But overall, this is a sign that, you know, this is the time of year when we can see snow, especially in the higher elevations in the west. And that's exactly what this map shows us. When we start to see our snowfall, and the areas in purple shades here suggest that October is about the time of year when you see your first snow. And clearly at the higher elevations, you can even get it in September. That's what that red dot there is in western Colorado. But how about the Northeast? Well, we got to wait typically until November to see our first snow. Yes, there's some locations. We've already seen it this year. Highest elevations above about 3,500 or 4,000 feet, it can happen. But for the most part, in New England and parts of the Northeast, it's not going to be until later November. But let's go back to the West because we've already seen some, right? This is a past 3 days accumulation of snow, and a whole lot of it has come in the southwestern part of Colorado. Well over a foot of snow in some locations. Excellent news. But you got to get way up in altitude in order to see that. The rest of Colorado, of course, in the plains, we haven't seen any, and many other areas, even at elevation in the west, we haven't yet to see significant snow. But here's good news. If you like the snow, winter weather advisories are in place for the mountains west of Denver, showing up here all the way into parts of southern Wyoming and heading over toward, let's say, I don't know, southwest of Denver, too. Heads up. Some snow on the way if it's not already falling. Because if you look at the radar right now, look, we've got some snow. Steamboat about an hour ago was snowing, not anymore. Breckenridge had some moderate snow, not anymore. It's beginning to move away, this weather system. So I expect some flurries or light snow showers for the remainder of the day. But overall, the heaviest of all the snow that we're getting with this system is now moving on by, thanks to that cold pocket aloft associated with it. Also on the move, you can see we don't really see a whole lot of rain or even snow with that the rest of the afternoon. And even going through much of the upcoming week through Thursday, if we're going to get any snow between now and, let's say, the end of the week, not so much in Colorado anymore. It's going to be focused in the higher elevations of the Northwest, Molly.
Well, parts of the West are dealing with heavy rain. Taking a look at Talent, Oregon. Looks beautiful this morning, right? This is just south of the Medford area. You've got wind and rain in the forecast. That should all clear up for the next few days. But if you're heading out the door right now, you want to be careful because roads are a little bit slick from the rain that's been falling recently. Could be slowing down your travel in these areas, especially by road. Now, air travel this morning, look at all of the green circles we have for all of our major airports saying, okay, we are 2 thumbs up. It is good travel this morning, not too many delays. As the day goes on, though, we know what can happen. And could we see some delays in Denver? It's certainly a possibility, but more likely as we go up into the Pacific Northwest into a place like SeaTac, where the wind will likely be an issue as the afternoon goes on. No delays right now, no rain at the airport, but we know this will be moving in for the second half of the day. And travel-wise on the road, on the 5, that could be a little bit dicey with all of the rain, but not just that, but the wind that's going to be moving in. Eventually, that system is going to lift up and over the higher elevations, bringing some snow to the higher elevations. Now let's look at some of the places in the upper Midwest where wind is going to be the primary travel concern today. High-profile vehicles. Probably going to have to use a little bit of caution, especially looking at which, it depends on which interstate you're driving on and the direction of the wind coming out of the south. Of course, that can make all the difference as opposed to if you were traveling on, say, I-29 and you're going with the wind. That's what you have to think about, of course, for the high-profile vehicles. And in addition to that, we've got the stronger storms that are going to be moving through. We are well into secondary severe weather season, and that means we can see some stronger systems in the plains this time of year. That's exactly what we're dealing with today. We've already had some stronger storms in the Texas Panhandle producing hail, but that's going to continue up through central Kansas. That's going to be in the early part of the afternoon along the I-70 corridor, stretching all the way up into Nebraska. Travelers are not only doing are not the only ones doing a hop across the pond. In the UK, it is trampolines. Yeah, this is why you have to secure the trampolines before any storms move through. This is high winds from Storm Ashley. This one sent a trampoline tumbling through a town in Scotland. The UK Met Office reported winds of 85 miles per hour in the Highlands.
Some people just know they can save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, you know, to check your spelling first before taking off your shirts.
Stu, Virginia.
So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds. Hi.
Have you ever tried this before?
I don't believe I have. Oh.
Crispy.
Creamy.
Hazelnutty.
Free Kinder Bueno? Now that's bueno.
Kinder Bueno.
Try Kinder Bueno free.
We're going to need another bar.
What will you do when the power goes out? Power outages can be unpredictable and inconvenient, but with a Generac home standby generator, your life goes on uninterrupted because you'll have power when you need it the most.
The number one thing to prepare for is extended power outages. Don't make it so hard on yourself. Have a Generac home standby generator.
And special financing and low monthly payment options are available. Call or go online now to request your free quote. Power your life with Generac.
You know what Blue Chew is? You could boost your numbers if you took it.
Never heard of Blue Chew.
Blue Chew?
Yeah, you know Blue Chew?
Yeah, so it's like chewable tablet things like...
Oh, girl, how do you know Blue Chew?
Her man.
Come on. And it made you like him more, right?
Absolutely. Or you could...
Where do I get Blue Chew?
Oh, you want to know where you can get it now? Well, you can go online and get your first month free, actually, so...
Okay, I mean, can't say no to free month.
Would you date him if he took a Blue Chew?
I would have to go with a yes.
Look, you're in it, my boy.
Sounds like a date, man.
My boy.
Thank you, Blue Chew.
I'll never forget the day I nearly died. I was a young journalist with a great career, starting a family. The only way we found out I had any kind of heart issue was when I went into sudden death. My coworkers sprung into action. They'd recently been trained in life-saving CPR protocols developed by the American Heart Association. They're the ones that kept me alive until the medics came. They did many tests on me in the hospital after my cardiac arrest and found my arrhythmias and created a treatment plan. My pacemaker, my defibrillator, different surgical procedures I've been, all with research from the American Heart Association. That makes it pretty personal. I think unless you are a heart disease patient, you may not know how much work the American Heart Association does behind the scenes to save your life. That's why I'm doing everything I can to pay it forward, and I urge you to become a monthly donor. Your support will help get the next person trained in CPR, the next hospital to be certified in high-quality cardiovascular care, the next medical breakthrough, one that could save your life or the life of someone you love.
Heart disease kills 1 in 5 Americans, and we urgently need your help to save lives. Go to helpheart.org or call now to become a monthly donor today.
When you become a monthly donor, you'll help sustain life-saving work all year long. And when you start your monthly gift of $19 a month, just 63 cents a day, you'll get a t-shirt like this one. From the moment you put it on, you'll help raise awareness for heart disease and stroke. Since my cardiac arrest, I've had 2 more children. I've watched all 3 of my children grow into adulthood. I'm going to cry now. Graduate from college. My daughter got married. I have grandchildren, and I'm still here. Call now or visit helpheart.org to become a monthly donor today. Because it's personal.
If you have heart failure, Farxiga can help you keep living life with the ones you love. Ask your doctor about Farxiga today. Farxiga can cause serious side effects, including ketoacidosis that may be fatal, dehydration, urinary tract or genital yeast infections, and low blood sugar. A rare life-threatening bacterial infection in the skin of the perineum could occur. Stop taking Farxiga and call your doctor right away if you have symptoms of this infection, an allergic reaction, or ketoacidosis.
Well, there's not a lot of rain falling across the U.S. right now. The Central Plains could see some thunderstorms later today. In fact, they're seeing some in progress now. Some of them could reach severe limits later on today around dinner time. But for the rest of us, not a drop of rain is in sight. And not only is it dry, it's really warm and in some cases hot, almost summer-like. And with the mercury rising, we could see some records fall, not just in the temperatures, but from the lack of rainfall as well. The combination of warmth and dryness. Molly, you have more on that.
And we say that as we're watching some rainfall in Hays, Kansas right now. But that's one of the few spots that it is raining, and we're expecting some storms over the next couple of hours. Everywhere else, though, is very dry, very warm. So warm, in fact, that we could be breaking some record highs. And this is going to be over the next couple of days, all the way through Thursday. It's not just confined to the south, where you would expect that you do see a couple of warm days this late in the season, this late in the year, I should say. We're still pretty early in the fall season. But look at some of these temperatures we have right now. I mean, we're well into the 60s. Buffalo, Portland, Maine is close to the 70s right now. New York City, 63. But I think this is the most impressive number that we have on the map, and that is 66 in the Twin Cities. We only fell to 65 this morning, and that is well above our normal low temperature this time of year. The average low is actually in the 30s, the upper 30s. And we didn't even get anywhere close to that this morning, and we won't tomorrow either. Here's where we're headed for afternoon highs. It's going to be in the 80s, New York City, Washington, D.C., Chicago, the Twin Cities, a lot of 70s and 80s on the map. And that translates to either tying or breaking some records, approaching records in many places. Burlington, Vermont, tying that record this afternoon, 76 degrees. Tomorrow, you can start to see some hints of our next cold front coming through. So instead of being in the 80s in our for our highs in the afternoon in the Twin Cities, instead we're going to be in the mid 70s. That's kind of a hint down the line that this is not the most powerful cold front that's going to be moving through. In fact, it's really only going to briefly drop our temperatures back down to average for many of us before seeing a very quick rebound right into those above average temperatures. So there's our cold front sweeping through by Thursday. Not a lot of rain associated with this cold front either. And you can see that it just brings our temperatures right back down to average for many of us. Small pockets of below average. It's not going to last for very long. But behind this cold front by Thursday, Twin Cities already back to above average temperatures. Well, heavy rain over dry ground, that's a dangerous combination and can lead to flash flooding. Coming up, Jim Cantore learns firsthand what to do when the waters are rising.
Well, Molly, the waters rise oftentimes when we have a landfalling tropical cyclone, a hurricane, or a tropical storm. And we actually had that this past weekend with Oscar. We had Hurricane Oscar make landfall in Cuba just a couple of days ago, and it's still in the region. Thankfully,